San Miguel Beermen and the Meralco Bolts are set to give us a show for the ages. With a lot of glory behind them, they want to put more in front. Torres feed inside the Hodge. Hodge, tough finish!
Grabs no good, sends it back out. Here comes Newsom. 3-ball on the way, puts it in!
They go inside. Joan Barr with a jam.
That's the four-pointer.
Wow!
CJ Perez wins the biggest shot of the game!
And they're going to get their record that they just could be able to make it to the next phase of the competition.
And ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the quarterfinals of your PBA Season 49 Philippine Cup here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. We have the Meralco Bolts taking on the San Miguel Beermen in what is a rematch from that memorable finals journey that ended up with the Meralco Bolts clinching their first ever franchise title. The San Miguel Beermen, though, will have the chance to end their title defense early here today at the Ninoy Aquino Stadium in Manila. An early rematch. This is Meralco against the San Miguel Beermen. The Beermen holding the twice-to-beat advantage over the defending champions. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Pablo Davasario alongside Coach Mark Molina. It is Bel Gregorio joining us on the sidelines. And Coach, we did that memorable finals game, and here we are again with Meralco this time. Their backs against the wall.
And that title is spot on because if you're San Miguel, you dominated this tournament, you're number one, but you get a rematch against the defending champion with their backs against the wall, as you mentioned, Paolo. They have twice to beat, but I'm sure they would have preferred somebody else because these Bolts were their tormentors in last season's finals.
Yes, they were, Coach. And of course, with the Meralco Bolts, if you remember back in their last run to the title, they actually had to overcome numerous do-or-die situations. Let's take a look at the playoff picture.
They're in very similar position right now. Meralco, they also had a twice-to-beat disadvantage when they went all the way to the finals and won the championship in the Season 48 Philippine Cup. But this is a very hard task here for Meralco to beat San Miguel 2 times in a row here in the quarterfinals because we all know all Philippine Cup champions will go through June Fajardo.
Let's take a look at the conference averages here for both these squads, and we're going to see a very stark difference between the two. The Meralco Bolts are looking a bit middle of the table in almost all statistical categories except for second chance points, but on the other end, almost at the top of the table of multiple categories are San Miguel Beermen.
You are correct. The stats speak for themselves here. San Miguel had a dominant elimination round. Number 1 in 4 categories: points, field goal percentage, points in the paint, and second chance points. And these are crucial because they want to establish the inside game early because of their MVP, June Fajardo. Meralco, on the other hand, you're right, mediocre elimination round. They were 6-5, but this is as dangerous a team as you can face in the quarterfinal round because they are the defending champions and they have championship experience.
Let's take a look at the road to the playoffs here for the Meralco Bolts. They had a strange conference, to say the least. They were going through a BCL Asia stint as well, so that meant they ended their elimination round earlier than the other teams. They ended up with 6-5, Coach.
But the most important thing here for me is Meralco, they ended the elimination round on fire, winning their last 3 games. One of them was against Barangay Ginebra. So they are playing well. They went to BCL Asia, represented well as well. And that's why Meralco, this is a team peaking at the right time, I feel, here. So even though they have that, they need to win twice, they are very capable of doing that.
Let's take a look at the Meralco Bolts' Chris Newsom. At the moment, in terms of the top 20 players for the race of the BPC, he ranks at number 19. But on his day, especially when games are on the line, you can count on this guy to come up with the biggest shots, especially with the survival of the whole team on the line, Coach.
There are players in this league that raise their games during playoff time. You talk about guys like Scotty Thompson. Chris Newsom is certainly one of them as well. His numbers, not bad. 16 with good field goal percentage for a guards. The assists are there. The steals in the defense, that's always a constant. But expect Chris Newsom to even elevate his game in today's court game against the Beermen.
Well, of course, with Chris Newsom, you got to take a look at another guard here for the Meralco Bolts who could make an impact as well, and that is Chris Banquero. You mentioned a while ago that they have a 6-5 record in elimination, but Chris Banquero only played 7 of those games. And you got to wonder, could he have helped contribute in terms of winning basketball if he had been healthier and more ready to play at the start of the conference?
Oh, absolutely, because Chris Banquero was one of the reasons why they won the championship last year. He was instrumental in the semifinal round against Barangay Ginebra. He was great in the finals against SMB. Emerged as a go-to scorer as well. Look at the numbers of Banquero, 14.7. A bit surprised because usually he will shoot better than 14% from the field. Maybe because of injury, maybe because of rust, because he sat out a number of games. But the scoring is there, the playmaking is there as well for Banquero, and you cannot take this for granted even though he's shooting poorly from the three-point line. San Miguel cannot leave him open.
San Miguel cannot leave him open, you're absolutely right. He also hasn't taken as many three-pointers as you would have expected. In the 7 games, he's only attempted 14 three-pointers, so let's see if that'll change. But for more on the Meralco Bolts, let's turn over to the third member of our team, Bel Gregorio. Bel.
Since coming home from Dubai, the Bolts had a week to prepare for tonight. Some players, though, stayed here in player-led trainings to ensure that they wouldn't lose their groove. Assistant coach Sandro Soriano argues that they have been their best defensive selves in practices leading up to tonight, and haunted by the disappointing 3 of 24 three-point shooting against SMB in the elimination round. The players have been coming to practice a lot earlier to work on their shooting. The bigs have been putting their heads together to come up with solutions to defend JMF, while the guards would collaborate with the coaches so they can execute and stand their ground against the Beermen's pesky guards. With their title defense on the line, assistant coach Sandra insists that their conversations didn't revolve around needing to defend the crown, but rather their need to attack SMB in different ways just so they could live to fight another day. Hello, Coach Mark.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. Interesting, Coach. Best defensive selves. Let's see if the Meralco Bolts have that against a red-hot San Miguel Beermen team. But apart from that, Coach, you got to take a look at the road here for the San Miguel Beermen because they have been dominant throughout the conference.
You're absolutely correct. They had a few bumps on the road. They had 3 losses, but outside of that, still a great elimination record here for San Miguel. 8-3. They started strong and then won 5 of their last 6 games. And in any Philippine Cup, you have to talk about Junmar Fajardo because he has won so many titles, won so many best player of the conferences in this particular conference. And then you add the CJ Perez, you add the Wami Chongson. This is a complete team filled with veterans, very deep, and that's why they are the #1 seed heading into the quarterfinal round.
You know what? You take a look at their defense as well. They actually have played a pretty good defense all throughout, but then we'll talk about that later on because we have to focus on Junmar Fajardo, who is once again putting in the numbers here and is a contender for best player of the conference simply with his sheer dominance, Coach. But the great thing about Junmar Fajardo is that though he produces a lot, he doesn't necessarily need the entire offense to revolve around him.
That's the transformation of Junmar. The last couple of seasons here, doesn't need the ball as much, but produces just the same. Very efficient from the field at 63%. The numbers at 17.6. Expect that to get higher in the playoffs when the stakes are higher as well. He is the #1 rebounder in the entire tournament here at 13.1. You add the 3.3 assists. This is a much improved passer. He has learned that all throughout his career. Not the same athlete maybe he was 5 years ago, but definitely a smarter player. That's why he's still as effective as ever.
CJ Perez is one of the guys who helps support Junmar Fajardo. In fact, sometimes he plays a starring role. CJ Perez, an gifted and a mercurial scorer here for the San Miguel Beermen. He has gone on a tear this conference, Coach. It feels like every time he is able to put his head down, he's able to get to the cup at will, but his range has also expanded in his ever-growing arsenal offensively.
How many teams can say that CJ Perez is their second option? For San Miguel, he would be a first option anywhere else if he was not playing with Junmar. But look at this. Fantastic. Definitely MVP numbers here for CJ Perez. 23 points. That is #1 in the league. And then all around rebounds, assists, steals. You mentioned player development because he has worked on that outside shot. That's why he can do everything on the offensive end. He can shoot, attack, of course, and then he is a monster in transition.
Of course, Don Troliano is one of the other guys that we sometimes overlook in terms of scoring. But when we talk of scoring prowess, we mentioned it a while ago with CJ Perez, Don Troliano also able to score in his own way. May it be from a starting lineup position or off the bench, he's always provided that pop for Coach Leo Austria.
Oh, he's a certified scorer. You mentioned most of the time he will come off the bench and he can play both forward positions, a firecracker off the bench. He's like a microwave who doesn't need time to heat up. Look at the numbers here, 13.2. 50% from the field for Troliano. He takes a lot of outside shots. That's why those are excellent percentages for Troliano. And then he also makes a contribution on the rebounding department. But primarily, this guy's role is to put points on the board.
And of course, alongside Don Troliano, you can go up and down the roster when it comes to those who can contribute, especially on the offensive end. But what about Wami Chongson, Coach? Because Wami Chongson has been one of the more consistent floor spacers here for the San Miguel Beermen, shooting a whopping 43.1% from beyond the arc.
When you are playing with CJ and Junmar, you're going to get a lot of open looks, and Wami has taken advantage of that. Doesn't take as many attempts anymore at this stage of his career, but he is dead-on efficient at 43%. He is the perfect running mate here in the backcourt with CJ Perez.
You know, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to San Miguel Beermen, especially when it comes to the way that they run their offense. But for more on the San Miguel Beermen, we still have Bel Gregorio joining us on the sidelines. He'll tell us more about what San Miguel have in store for the Meralco Bolts. Bel, take it away.
Despite being the team to beat in an all-Filipino conference, Coach Leo Austria knows that they cannot rely on their reputation, especially because they need to redeem themselves after what the Bolts did to them last conference. His message to his players: we simply cannot blink when we are against Meralco, because not only are they well organized, but they also have the confidence that when the stakes are high, they can definitely beat us. A big difference, though, that Coach Leo sees from that conference is his players' roles are more defined and managed better. But one of the biggest tasks emphasized is limiting Meralco's perimeter shooting, as they did when they met in the first round. Let's see if they can duplicate that, or if Meralco's international experience also elevated their game, especially after their winning streak to end the elimination round. For now, back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. The San Miguel Beermen are number 9 in terms of perimeter points allowed. Let's see if they can improve on that number against the Meralco Bolts team, who have also found it hard to be able to score on the perimeter. They are number 11th in the league in terms of perimeter points. So let's see how that all works out. But Coach, game plan from the San Miguel Beermen, we heard it from a defensive standpoint. What do you think?
Dominate inside, get the ball inside to your bigs, and then get a lot of offensive rebounds and second chance points, because that is what they're known for. That is their strength. If you're Meralco, this has to be a track fest. You won this championship last year against this same team because they constantly push the ball in transition. Expect them to do the same thing. Expect them to attack Junmar Fajardo's pick and roll defense as well. And this will be speed against size today, Paolo.
Well, let's find out how it turns out. Let's find out who the starters are as well. Let's turn it over to the venue announcer.
The PBA Philippine Cup quarterfinals continues, and our first game, it's the Meralco Bolts versus the San Miguel Beermen. Let's meet the starting lineups first from your Meralco Bolts. At guard from Isabela, number 6, Chris Banquero. From Pidegui, Ilocos Norte, also at guard, number 11, Chris Newsom. At center from Pasig City, number 33, Brandon Bates. From Quezon City, at forward, number 19, Bong Quinto. And also at forward from Cavite, number 7, Cliff Hodge. Head coach for the Bolts is Luigi Trillo. And now introducing the starters for the San Miguel Beermen. From Iban, Batangas, at guard, number 33, Wami Johnson. Also at guard from Bautista, Pangasinan, number 77, CJ Perez. From Pinabungahan, Cebu, at center, number 15, Junmar Fajardo. At forward from Tobago Albay, number 91, Rodney Brandial. And from Ilocos Sur, at forward, number 13, Marshall Lessiter. Head coach for the Beermen is Leo Austria. Game officials are Peter Balo, Bing Oliva, James Baez.
It is an early rematch of San Miguel Beermen taking on the Meralco Bolts here today at the Nino Aquino Stadium. Welcome to the starting lineup of the Meralco Bolts. Familiar faces all around. They are looking healthy. They're looking spry. But what about the San Miguel Beermen, who have been an offensive juggernaut on their own? Junmar Fajardo, CJ Perez leading the charge in terms of the offense, but don't take your eyes off the likes of Wami, Chongson, and Marshall Lassiter leading the charge as well. Peter Balao leads our referees here today for this fiery matchup in the quarterfinals. San Miguel with a twice-to-beat advantage. Meralco looking to pull off an upset, and here we go. Meralco with the first possession, and Chris Newsom on the attack early on. Early offensive rebound, and it is a time to finally breathe. Paulo de Rosario alongside Coach Mark Molina. It is Bel Gregorio joining us on the sidelines. Coach, you mentioned it a while ago. Meralco need to turn this into a track meet, especially if they want to get their offense going early on.
Oh, we saw that early attack there by Newsom. Expect him to do that every time he has an opportunity to attack in transition.
And of course, for the San Miguel Beermen, they are so comfortable at slowing the game down and finding creative ways to score. There's so much size in this team as Rodney Brondial gets the first points of this game. He is one of the more unheralded guys of the San Miguel Beermen. Do it also effortful.
He's the glue of this team. He doesn't need the ball to score, but he's going to get a lot of offensive rebounds, and he's going to be very scrappy on the defensive end as well.
You know, I love talking to Rodney Brondial. He's one of the nicer guys off the floor, but on the floor, he could be a bit nasty. There he is, battling with Cliff Hodge for the offensive rebound and getting the second chance opportunity to go.
And he outworked Cliff Hodge in that sequence. That's not an easy thing to do.
Chris Banquero finding Cliff Hodge. Quinto of the dribble handoff. Quinto doing it all by himself, but runs into a certain Junmar Fajardo. And the question is, Coach, because they spent so long playing in BCL Asia, playing different styles of basketball, even having different imports, you have to wonder, will they have to readjust to the PBA style of play and with their teammates here, considering that they played so many games with a different set of players?
For sure. And to me, the biggest adjustment would be playing with the two imports there in the BCL, because those imports will not be here today. Obviously, offensively, you will be different. Defensively as well. And San Miguel doing the correct thing. Look at this. This is really almost impossible to defend when CJ and Junmar are working that way in the pick and roll.
You know, the nice thing about the combination of Junmar and CJ Perez is that they don't step on each other's toes offensively.
They do not.
So here's Cliff Hodge. Again, for the Meralco Bolts, we have to wonder, will there be a bedding in period playing in the PBA yet again? Because we saw that with the TNT Tropang 5G in particular, Coach. They played with Ronnie Hall Jefferson for so long with an import, and it felt like they were adjusting for most parts of the conference early on, as Junmar Fajardo has a nice block.
We're seeing that now. Meralco's offense very rusty here. They're trying to attack Junmar, but Junmar playing terrific defense so far.
Marshall Lassiter couldn't finish there, and Rodney Brondial gets his second basket.
Now you have to be upset here if you're Coach Luigi Trillo, because 6 points all inside the paint, 2 of them off offensive rebounds. I mean, 4 of them, 4 of those points. Finally, Newsom gets one.
Chris Newsom with the basket, as Chris Newsom gets them going here. Finally, down by the Meralco Bolts. CJ Perez now.
Meralco really needed that, and that's why Chris is their undisputed leader, because he will take the shots when needed.
And CJ Perez answers back with a shooter's roll. This three-point shot is brought to you by Rexona. Stay cool in the heat of the game with Rexona Ice Cool. It won't let you down. Hodge. Back to Chris Newsom. Newsom against CJ Perez. Both Giras Pilipinas teammates, both knowing each other very well. They get the switch here. Rodney Brondial now on Newsom. Newsom finds a way through, but that'll be an offensive foul.
Illegal screen will be called against Brandon Bates here. Once again, they attack the Junmar pick and roll. They do it here. Defender goes under the basket, under the screen. And that's an open shot for Newsom, but CJ Perez answers right away with a three of his own.
6-point lead still for the San Miguel Beermen. That's been tapped away by Banquero. We play on. 15 seconds on the shot clock. They go to Junmar Fajardo, testing his range, and that's good.
Bates is going to have a big problem if Junmar hits that consistently tonight, because he's already being attacked by CJ. and Junbal in that two-man game.
Bong Quinto down to Bates. Bates elected not to shoot that one despite being wide open. Chris Newsom open for a second. Shoots over CJ Perez, no good. Body's on the floor here, but we play on. As CJ Perez waits for the play to develop. CJ using pick from Grondial. Wami Chongson wide open, lights out. Wami Chongson.
On cue, one of our lights going out here, and Wami with that shot. What a big start here for San Miguel. Everything working well for them. This is a very well-oiled machine and in prime for another championship.
Turn off the house lights, into the spotlight. Wami Chongson with the basket. 14-3 in favor of the San Miguel Beermen as San Miguel off to a dream start in the quarterfinals. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Philippine Cup here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. Meralco Bolts struggling to start out here in the quarterfinals. 14-3 is the count, but still very early days. Let's take a look at the head-to-head matchups here, dating all the way back to May 4, 2024, where the Meralco Bolts and San Miguel have been going back and forth. Actually, Meralco having more of the wins since the Season 48 Philippine Cup. 6-3 in favor of the Bolts. But all of that doesn't matter at the moment, considering if Meralco loses one game, their conference and title defense is over.
It. But that's very impressive for Meralco to have the advantage head-to-head against this mighty San Miguel team.
Did he get that off on time? Doesn't matter because it doesn't go in.
You know your defense is on point when you can defend that way. After a timeout, Meralco tried to settle themselves but could not execute.
Marshall Lassiter with a rare miss. CJ Perez, well, he's a predator for a reason. He isn't just a predator on the offensive end. Defensively, he is also a pesky defender.
That is correct. And that's why this is really a fascinating matchup between Newsom and CJ.
You know, I love the fact that we can call him the Predator because he is one of the players that I know of who actually gave his own nickname. He actually preferred to be called the Predator as Chris Banquero gets a basket inside the first two-pointer here for the Meralco Bolts.
Expect a lot of the offense of Meralco to be created by their guards. That's why Newsom and Banquero, they need to have good games today in order to win this game.
That'll be a foul on Bates. That'll be his second foul, that time on Junmar Fajardo. You know, Brandon Bates is a big guy. He's also strong, very young, very spry and athletic. But Junmar Fajardo just has so much more mass compared to a Brandon Bates.
And with all the experience, of course, of Junmar, he knows how to use his size. And he has an improved shot as well. That's why he is really very difficult to defend at this stage of his career.
Now, speaking of Junmar Fajardo, there he is, handing it off to CJ Perez. CJ, Chris Newsom right in front of him. They switch here. CJ Perez right at the face of Cliff Hodge. This three-point shot is brought to you by Rexona. Stay cool in the heat of the game with Rexona Ice Cool. It won't let you down. And CJ definitely hasn't let his team down here today. That's Chris Newsom going strong. Will go and shoot two.
I like that. Quick attack from Newsom. The ball got kicked out to you. Don't settle. Here's that play. They switch that pick and roll. And Hodge, he has no choice. CJ's too fast, so he has to give him some space. But CJ makes him pay.
Bel Gregorio has more for us. Bel.
The last time these two teams met, New may have led the scoring with 27 points, but he pointed out that he didn't like how he wasn't able to get his teammates going and let them show their full capability. in their do-or-die situation tonight. He's been preaching confidence to his teammates, arguing that if they're not confident that they have a chance tonight, might as well go home and not play at all. They can't afford bad passes, they can't afford distractions, but most of all, the team's leader urged them that they cannot afford to question that they can do it and win tonight. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. Again, Chris Newsom speaking like a leader, like he always does. He doesn't just lead the team on the floor via example. He's also very well spoken. And from what I understand, all the players, kahit yung mga hindi talaga nag-English, understand Chris Newsom.
Well, you have to. I mean, I think all of these players have to understand because of the presence of even guys like Nenad Vucinic in that lineup as well. They also play with imports.
Bawal mag-nosebleed as Raymond Almazan swats that away. Here's Chris Banquero attacking CJ Perez, and that has been one of the better sequences for the Meralco Bolts early in this game.
That is the blueprint for success, and Meralco knows that. If they can get stops, that can fuel the running game.
Almost a stop there as Cliff Hodge was playing free safety. Well, what about that swat from Raymond Almazan? The timing was just perfect. He came in as a help defender, and he has one of the better timings of a help defender here in the PBA.
That is how he got known, especially early on in his career. The offense wasn't there yet for Raymond Almazan, but he got a lot of time on the floor because of his defense.
Well, they call him rock and roll as that time able to prevent the drive. Marshall Lasser wide open, though another offensive rebound for Rodney Brondial. They're swinging around. Wami Chongson at the top. He gets at the fall.
After an offensive rebound, there is usually an open three-point shooter. And San Miguel, led by Brondial, doing a great job in spotting Wami.
Oh, and great passing coming from Meralco Bolts. So maybe they passed a bit too much. Chris Newsom will go and shoot three. I believe they might check that to make sure it is a three-pointer. So let's take a look at this again. As Rodney Brondial, who has done a workman-like job just getting the offensive rebounds, and there's a resulting three.
That's the third offensive rebound from Brondial. And then he finds the open man there. Wami Chongson. That's why he's shooting at 43%, because he's getting a lot of good looks in this lineup of San Miguel.
Yeah, gone are the days when he had to create his own shot consistently. I remember his time with the Terra Firma Jeep in particular. He would have the ball a lot in his hands, and he would try and manufacture shots himself.
He's capable,
yeah,
but it's just so much easier now for him because he's playing alongside CJ Perez. And then, of course, Junmal.
And I think it's good that we're seeing him learn to play without the ball, or at least really showcasing that ability if he's learned how to play it in the past.
Wami's actually been very effective all throughout his career. He's comfortable, really, as a shooting guard.
Well, they call him a points guard, and so is CJ Perez. Here's Wami Chongson, right at the face, but danced to the wrong tune there. It's a travel, and Wami Chongson saying that wasn't travel. But to be fair, rarely do we see players admit that they're wrong. Here's Cliff Hodge. Giving to Chris Newsom. They go straight to... Oh, there's a foul there on CJ Perez on Bonquinto. CJ Perez will check out for the meantime as Jericho Cruz will come in for the San Miguel Beermen. Again, Jericho Cruz, one of the offensive contributors from the bench for Coach Leo Austria. And Aaron Black coming in on the other side as Chris Newsom will take a quick rest. Here's Chris Banquero. Banquero working on Wami Chongson. And Raymond Almazan, right place, right time. Not quite the result. Cliff Hodge is there. Bonquinto thought about it. Went on the attack instead, and Raymond Almazan there to clean everything up.
Important for Meralco to also get some second chance points. Raymond Almazan doing his thing there.
Marshall now to Junmar. Junmar working on Raymond Almazan. Strength advantage Junmar Fajardo, and he pulled his way in.
But that's always a dilemma for any coach against Junmar. Do you double team or not?
Well, you got to get your early work in if you're Raymond Almazan, and that'll be a foul on Jericho Cruz as Chris Banquero went for the shot.
Better flow for Meralco offensively the last 3 minutes or so. But San Miguel has been flowing all throughout the game.
22-13, 4:51 left here. Unforgettable awaits. Watch the 2025 NBA Finals this June on NBA TV Philippines, One Sports, RPTV, and Filipinas Live. Hashtag NBA on Signal. Hashtag everything counts. The most beautiful words in professional basketball. Game 7 coming right up.
That should be a good one. I think that's Monday morning here.
Yeah, alam mo, since day one, I believed in the Pacers, huh? Okay, maybe not. But 22-15 as Meralco are starting to come back here against the San Miguel Beermen as we keep it in the realm of reality. 4:51 left here in quarter number 1. We'll be right back.
You know what I love about Filipino?
It's Meralco versus San Miguel here on PBA Rush. When the Beermen failed to make it to the playoffs last conference, Wami Kyongson did some reflecting and realized that nothing comes easy. But the thing is, nothing ever came easy in his whole career. And the kind of work that he has put in is what he's banking on, insisting that he needs to keep being aggressive, which is a big game changer for CJ Perez, who mentioned that he's able to play well and stick to his strengths when Wami plays aggressively. To which Wami responded, it did help a lot that they shared the floor back in Terra Firma. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Gregory. Yeah, there is a bit of familiarity there from their time in Terra Firma. Of course, very different roles back then. Both of them were able to really share the load. But of course, with the San Miguel Beermen, things are so much more different as there's a foul against Junmar, or rather on Junmar Fajardo. So that means the ball will stay with San Miguel.
We can see Meralco here opting to use single coverage on Junmar with Raymond Almazan.
Well, they tried to do so a while ago with Brandon Bates as well, but two mixed results. As here, the handoff to Wami Chongson, no good. Bong Quinto comes away with the rebound. Bong Quinto's one player here who can actually swing the balance of this game, especially if he finds his rhythm here, as he works on Jericho Cruz, and that's a pretty finish. Nagdilang Angel. Sorry, coach.
Very good call, Paolo. He's such a crafty scorer, Bong Quinto. You can put him anywhere on the floor, and he can find a way to score.
I'm sorry I complimented myself, coach, but it rarely happens. Here is Jericho Cruz, now giving it to Junmar Fajardo. Early work by Raymond Amazan pushes him out of the paint. But here is Wami Chongson, return pass to Junmar. Eventually finds his way inside, and Raymond forcing the foul. Coach, they're getting to the point wherein their big men are starting to collect fouls, trying to defend Junmar Fajardo. Maybe a change of scheme coming up?
That's correct, but I understand the logic here, the thinking here of Coach Luigi Trillo, because San Miguel has been shooting well from the outside. And you would think that if they give the ball early to Junmar and often, he will tire out later on.
Filipinas Live Shorts is here. Catch exclusive bite-sized content from your favorite sports icons like Vanny Gandler, Fifi Sharma, Dina Wong, and more. From hobbies to behind-the-scene moments. Download the Filipinas Live app and update to the latest version to access Filipinas Live Shorts for free. Junmar Fajardo on the line and doing well, but then the Meralco Bolts, to their credit, coach, have been mounting a bit of a comeback themselves. What has changed since that? I believe that second time out of this game.
The speed, attacking in transition. They're getting early. Of course, when you cannot get stops, you cannot have transition opportunities here. So they've done a better job as well on the defensive end.
Pascual in the ball game now as Norbert Torres is in as well. They're playing with a bit of size here, talking about the Meralco Bolts. But so are the San Miguel Beermen with Mo Tautua. Their great trapping defense. Norbert Torres gets away Attentive with the shot. Bong Quinto doesn't see Banquero. He's got to shoot, and that's unfortunate.
I thought Quinto had the shot already, but too unselfish that time.
Well, you see, sometimes, Coach, being selfish helps.
It does.
Yeah.
And for a lot of players, it works for them.
You got to choose your moments. Here's Chris Ross. Oh, and what defense there by Banquero, tapped away. They're wasting a lot of time here in the shot clock. Only 9 seconds left here for San Miguel to do something.
This is the pressure defense that Meralco wants to do. The entire shot clock, it was only Chris Ross who touched that ball there. Excellent pressure, excellent denial defense coming from Meralco.
So Aaron Black getting hit with a foul and a penalty situation as well.
But that's the problem. You have to secure the defensive rebound here. If you're Meralco, this is the best team as far as second chance points is concerned here in the league.
Well, you take a look at the foul count here for the San Miguel, the Meralco Bolts. They are last in terms of the league in terms of free throw attempts allowed. They do foul a lot more than most teams, especially in shooting situations. So that's something they have to be a bit wary of, especially against the San Miguel Beermen team, who are so deliberate in the way that they operate in the post.
That's why you need to have more discipline here if you're Meralco. I love that pressure defense that they did in that sequence, because that can change the game.
And you know what? If we only had a mic closer to the floor here, when Chris Banquero was guarding Chris Ross, it felt like watching a drill of college, of high school, screaming ball, 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 ball as he started to pressure Chris Ross as the San Miguel Beermen convert on the free throw. 25-17 the count here. Black to Pascual. Chris Banquero off the drive. And that time trying to find Norbert Torres. Again, sometimes a bit too unselfish, talking about the Meralco Bolts. Don Troliano. Troliano getting switch here. Norbert Torres has it. Size advantage for Mo Tautua. Trying to bully his way against Bong Quinto. And Mo, unable to get the finish, will shoot two.
And the game plan here is very simple for Coach Leo Austria. Get the ball to Junmar. Look at other mismatches. This time it's Tautua. And if they don't extend a double or some help defense, let those boys attack.
Mo Tautua looking a lot trimmer than what he usually is. Lost 35 pounds after their trip to Korea. That's 35 pounds in 1 month. That's a lot.
Wow.
I was telling the coaches about it. It's like saying, so does he play different? They say he tries to cross over like a guard too much now. Because he's so tall, the dribble's so high. So that's something to watch out for. But then 35 pounds gone. If only all of us could do that, Coach.
I hope I can do that.
I hope I can do that too. He did 2 diets at the same time. So incredible discipline there for Mo. So here is Aaron Black. Pascual handing it off to Aaron. Aaron trying to turn it. Quinto has it now. Trying to tease the 4-pointer. Going strong inside. Fakes out Mo Tautua. Unable to get the jumper to go. Don Troliano. Don. Crafty finish. But Don Troliano saying he was hit in the face.
But he's a joy to watch always on the offensive end, because he can score in so many ways. Meralco takes advantage of a 5-on-4 situation.
And that's a sure basket there for Norbert Torres. Norbert Torres, back in his days at LaSalle, his nickname was Norbert, but he's also trimmed down as well. He's out of hibernation. Here's Chris Ross. Don Troliano working on Quinto. He is feeling it, Coach, and the footwork, elite.
And Quinto was getting a dose of his own medicine. He was like defending another version of himself with that move from Troliano.
Banquero. Norbert Torres on the ground. And they're saying it's a flop here. Talking about the San Miguel Beermen as Andres Cahilig had to hold back Jericho Cruz. Let's take a look at the sequence first, though, as Don Troliano with the nifty finish here. Up and under, the little reverse. Again, Don Troliano, professional scorer.
Look at this. What a nice move. Stop and go, and then you turn to the other way. Easy layup for Toliano, but excellent footwork as well.
31-19. Big lead here for San Miguel Beermen. Really just taking over against the Meralco Bolts here in quarter number 1. Welcome back to the PBA, Meralco. It's what they're trying to say here. As Norbert Torres will have a couple to shoot. No flop according to the referee, despite the protestations from the San Miguel Beermen. This is the first, though, and you could already hear some of the San Miguel players say, "Ball don't lie." So Chris Newsom checks back in here, and to be quite frank, Coach, their defense did stutter without Chris Newsom.
Well, he's always been the anchor of this team on both ends, not just on defense.
11-point lead here for the San Miguel Beermen. Chris Ross bringing this one down. Aaron Black right in front of him. Pascual trying to guard Cahilig. Don Troliano on the attack, on the move, and that's easy getting past Jansen Rios.
That's just a burst of points off the bench here for Toliano. All of them inside the paint.
Norbert Torres has the range, but not the result. Chris Newsom had a fresh 14 after that attempt. Aaron Black. Big difference between shot and game clock as Aaron Black tries to operate here. He's got to go. Little jump, footwork not working out. Jansen Rios, and that's another 24-second shot clock violation. Their second of the game, if I'm not mistaken, here for San Miguel.
And San Miguel has done a great job here, especially the second unit. Very defensive-oriented unit, but Toliano, nice move against a tough defender in Jansen Rios. Rios is there to try to slow down Toliano.
And here's Don Troliano. Once again, Pascual right there. It's an 11-3 run in favor of the San Miguel Beermen. They want to extend it. 10-second difference in shot and game clock. Don Troliano doing everything, but Pascual right there. And Don Troliano scores anyway.
This guy's good, but he gets lucky as well.
Oh, he's saying that he meant to do that. He meant to bank that off after the block. And another great defensive sequence. So the San Miguel Beermen not only score 35 points in the first quarter, but they held the defending champions, the Meralco Bolts, only 20 in the opening quattro of this quarterfinal matchup. The Meralco Bolts struggling on the offensive end. Scoring is a problem, while the San Miguel Beermen, everything they put up has turned into gold. Will the San Miguel Beermen consider this, or will the Meralco Bolts finally come back? An early rematch here. We'll be right back.
Pilipinas Live is the home of Philippine volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP, all in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
After the first 12 minutes of action, it's SMB 35, Meralco 20. And one of the men who did their damage early is Don Troliano. Since losing weight, now playing from 195 to 200, from his 225 pounds, Troliano has been hitting the court with a spring in his step. A lot more confident as he can now do a lot more things without getting as tired. In their final showdown, he was utilized as a 4 and admitted how difficult it was going against the likes of Cliff Hodge, who back then was a lot faster and bigger than him. But this conference, he has shifted to a 3, his natural position, giving him the extra boost to just become a threat from anywhere, as we've been seeing tonight. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio, as Don Troliano now has been in the spotlight of the last few possessions here, including that last foul.
What Bell mentioned, shifting to the 3.
Yeah.
To me, offensively, it doesn't matter because you can put Troliano anywhere he can score. But being a 3 makes him guard smaller players, because as a 4, he can be attacked by bigger players, bigger power forwards, and that's where Trollano struggles, and that's why he is better off as a 3 because of that, because of the defense, not the offensive side of the play.
Absolutely, Coach. But Don Trollano, as we talk about his offense here, 4 of 5 to start out the quarter, or rather the game here, with 8 points to his name already. As Meralco Balls are still looking for an answer. It's also interesting that they also credited the weight management of Don Trollano. Mo Tautua had that, and you know what?
Did they hire a dietitian at San Miguel?
That's the thing. I want to know, because I want to hire him too. As Norbert Torres gets that to go. Actually, funnily enough, we also heard the story from Jumar Fajardo, saying he also lost weight, pero 2 pounds lang daw.
So, I mean, looking at that bench, hey, there's Coach Leo, Pito Martin,
they all look
Coach
fit.
Otto Agustin, they're all looking good there.
They all look great. Yeah, 100%. That's the key. Lose weight as a family. All right, so 35-22. As we are slowly revealing that, Coach, we might need to get healthier for next conference also. It's now Jericho Cruz on the free throw line, getting that one to go. Early start here for San Miguel, Coach. It feels like they haven't missed a beat. I remember Coach Leo Austria saying towards the end of the elimination round, they have to treat each game almost like a playoff matchup to get mentally ready. And they look really sharp here today.
And this is a team that eliminated you in this very same conference, and that's why San Miguel really has a chip on their shoulder right now. And you're playing against Meralco, you don't want to give them confidence. That's why San Miguel with a firecracker start here, 37 points already.
Here's Aaron Black now to Hodge. Hodge with the high jumper, no good. Norbert Torres, who's had a great game here so far, unable to get that rebound. Here's Chris Ross. 20 seconds on the shot clock as Ross working on Chris Newsom. Don Trollano, who has been arguably the most potent offensive player here for San Miguel in this game so far, with the jumper, that time with a miss. And you know, as we're taking a look at the Meralco Bolts here, it feels like the one player that I miss for this team is Alain Maliksi, who hasn't suited up. But they're going to have CJ Cancino come in next time, who is growing into that role.
I'm surprised, maybe because of defensive purposes, that CJ has not yet played.
And a foul off the drive here. Don Trollano will... So that'll be a foul on Norbert Torres. Let's take a look at this from Chris Newsom. The feed to Cliff Hodge, and then eventually the feed to Norbert Torres. Again, Norbert Torres having a great game in the interior.
Any coach would be very happy with that kind of execution from Meralco.
Mo Tautua gets that one to go. Again, you know, Mo Tautua with his weight loss, he's so proud of it. He actually says, like, look, my abs are a lot better now. Asked me to feel it, and I'm like, nope, no thank you. As right now, a couple changes here. CJ Cancino, as I mentioned, has finally checked in for the Meralco Bolts. A young player, talking about CJ, who is able to really put the ball in the hoop and is one of those guys who can be a spark plug, especially
he can change the game. Coming off the bench, he can change the game. He can hit a couple of three-pointers and put points in a hurry here for Meralco.
Here's Cliff Hodge. CJ Cancino. Cancino using the pick from Hodge. We called him a game changer a while ago, but that'll be an offensive foul as Mo Tautua hit the deck. A bit too over-eager.
And that's the speed. When you lose weight, there's added speed. So Tautua able to move his feet laterally to keep up with CJ Cancino. Here's that play. That's the new Mo Tautua, and because he was there, he was able to get that offensive foul.
Here's Chris Ross. Don Trollano now, waiting for Andreas Cahilig. Cahilig to Chris Ross. Ross. Jericho Cruz off the curl. Triggers the jumper right in front of CJ Cancino. Chris Newsom come away with the rebound. They got to get going here. The Meralco Bolts looking for a little comeback. Chris Newsom says, let me do it by myself. We'll go and shoot two.
And wonderful things happen when you are not allowing that San Miguel defense to be set up. The key for Meralco, you need ball penetration so that the San Miguel defense will react. And Chris Newsom very quick to attack the paint.
Here's Chris Newsom trying to make it a bit more manageable here. And he does. 14-point game here so far. And Marshall Lasser will come in for Don Troliano. Could you imagine subbing out one of your best scorers in the quarter so far for a guy like Marshall Lasseter? There is an embarrassment of riches for the San Miguel Beermen.
That is correct. Usually they like playing Marshall with Junmar.
Yeah. Able to space the floor and also drive. Again, one of the better gravity guys here in this league. Talking about Marshall Lasseter. As Chris Ross springs it around. And Jericho Cruz goes in and out. CJ Cancino takes that away from Chris Ross. As Aaron Black leads the charge here. Chris Newsom looking for options. There he is waiting. Using the pick here from Norbert Torres. Norbert has it now off the pop. Directing traffic, and that should have been a pass to Aaron Black. But then Jericho Cruz with the foul.
Number 39, Jericho Cruz, his second team foul for the Beermen.
And Jericho gambled a bit there. Tried to went for the steal against Norbert Torres.
Of course, Austria there on your screens. No doubt happy with what he's seen here so far. As Aaron Black goes on the attack with Hodge. Swings it around to Norbert Torres, electing for the perimeter. Jay, no good. And, you know, that is a coaching decision as well, to try and look for those open shots on the outside.
I don't like the pass by Hodge because I thought he had that shot under the basket against Kahilig.
I agree, Coach. Motautua. And that's going to be tapped away by the Bolts. Or rather, there was not a touch, so we will go the other way. Meralco with a turnover. 14-point lead still here for the San Miguel Beermen. The Meralco Bolts still trying to play catch-up. The game has been a bit slow, Coach, because the whistle has been blown quite a bit in this one so far.
Junmar checks in the game. Now he will play alongside Mo in a twin tower combination, which is more effective now because of the newfound speed of Mo.
Yeah. Bates swing that around to the corner. Wide open is Chris Newsom, and Newsom drains it.
That's excellent offense coming from Meralco. Anytime you can get a Newsom or a Cancino, an open corner three, that's good for you.
Aaron Black working on Jericho Cruz. Marshall Lasseter has it now. They're switching things around. That time, got them on the tag, and Marshall Lasseter, just a reminder, he is not just a three-point shooter. He's able to slash inside as well.
Always been very smart in reading the defenses. When they're taking away the three, Marshall has that little floater.
Aaron Black. Aaron. Now to Bates. Bates, little floater, pushed up top. Does not get the friendly roll.
That's not a bad shot coming from Bates. That's a shot that you need to develop as a big man here in this league.
And Motautua. That'll be a flopping violation on Cliff Hodge. And the entire coaching staff of San Miguel goes up to applaud the referee. I believe
there have been a lot more flopping calls recently.
And I believe that is John Mira who made that call. Also, the reason why I'm bringing that up, happy birthday, John Mira.
Happy birthday to our official here, number 68, John Mira.
So let's take a look at that again.
Is that enough contact? There was contact for sure, but is that enough to get Hodge down?
Yeah, was it excessive?
Again,
that way?
this is subjective at the end of the day.
I mean, like, some people will look at that replay and say they completely agree, but I can also see the other side, the Meralco Bolt side, saying that there was that contact initiated by Motautua.
Yep.
So the judgment of the referee is that it was a flop. So that's the reason why we had that technical free throw. And San Miguel now lead 42-28. Still playing catch-up here. Chris Rosales in the game for the first time, I believe. Working on Banquero, and that will be a foul on the floor here as a foul started to pile up here for the Meralco Bolts. Again, this has been a problem for the Meralco Bolts conference long. They are the team that sends other opponents to the free throw line the most. And they have to be able to curb that down if they want to take away something from this game.
What a luxury here to have a Chris Rosales as your third point guard. Nice pass, nice play.
And there, a foul on Junior Fajardo. Chris Newsom went up there to try and prevent the shot.
Mo knows if he wants to extend his career, especially with the Beermen, you have to be effective playing alongside Junmar Fajardo. And he's making plays here with Junmar.
42-28, 6:55 left as Junmar Fajardo misses that one. As we take a look at some of the numbers here from Junmar Fajardo, a casual 17.6 points per game, coach.
But look at that, 63.2% from the field. That's just money here for Junmar.
As he gets that one to go. You know, the great percentage there for Junmar Fajardo, but I have to double check because if I'm not mistaken, he has yet to hit the three-pointer this conference. Talking about Junmar Fajardo. That part of his game doesn't really need it. But then in the previous conferences, that showed us that he has that range. Yep, he is 0 of 7.
He hit a big three, remember that in Game 6 of the Meralco San Miguel finals.
Oh, yes, he did. I had a conversation with Marshall Laster about the shooting of Junmar Fajardo. He agrees that Junmar Fajardo does have a nice shooting stroke. And it's a good thing that he doesn't take a lot of threes or else he will lose a job. Chris Banquero goes in to try and trim this deficit. Still a lot of time for the Meralco Bolts to catch up as Motau Tua tried to attack Cliff Hodge off that drive. And that's one of the things that he could do now that he has so much more body control and so much more speed.
And when you can face the basket and attack, that's an effective move because of the presence and the attention that Fajardo gets.
That is your reward for losing 35 pounds, Mo. As that time, it will be a foul, I believe, on Mo. Don Troliano checks back in. Again, he tortured this Meralco Bolts team in the tail end of the first half and the early parts of the second. And that'll be another flop. So they're very open with their flopping calls here.
I thought Chris Rosales lost his footing.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if they're going to challenge this. So again, it will be John Mira calling this one. Once again, happy birthday, John. As New will get the free throw here. Gets that to go. So the ball will stay with the Meralco Bolts, something they're going to try to take advantage of. Hit a 3 here, it's a 4-point play. Hit a 4, it's a 5-point play, a rare one. Chris Banquero, the first ever player in the PBA to hit a 4-pointer. And around with Hodge unable to finish in close range.
Too unselfish again. I thought Banquero had that shot, that little floater.
And just threw that away as they were trying to save it. Talking about the Meralco Bolts, a missed opportunity there. But it could have also fallen to Marshall Lassiter, so they're thankful that that didn't happen. San Miguel Beermen soon for time here, 45-31 with 5:48 left here in the first half. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
Let's take a look at the race here for the best player of the conference, where Junmar Fajardo leads here against the likes of CJ Perez and Robert Pollock. Dave Lucero also having a great campaign, and Campo Tana rounding up the top 5 before we have an eliminated player in Jason Perkins, and then followed by Justin Arana and Justin Baltazar, the two towers here coming from Converge Viper Xers. That's been a great campaign here for those two, Tomat CJ and Junmar Pajardo, and Coach Leo Austria.
I mean, those are constants. But what about Xavier Lucero?
Yeah. And you know,
finding a home in Magnolia.
We feel that he's definitely on his way up as Mo Tautua misses the 3-ball. Here's CJ Cancino working the slam against Marshall Lassiter. Oh, nifty move. So gets into the body of Mo Tautua, but misses the bunny. Bates has it. Now to Banquero of the great opportunity in terms of offensive rebounding. Mismatch here as Hodge goes at it strong. Bates gets the rebound and gets the finish.
That's the way. Rosales got switched onto Bates. That's why. That's the best way to make him pay. Get an offensive rebound and a putback.
No way he wasn't going to get that offensive rebound as Don Troliano has it now. Don. Now Mo Tautua, and Mo misses from close range. Nuno trying to go to the corner. Here's Banquero. And that's a nifty finish as CJ Cancino gets at the fall.
This guy is very talented. Not only can he shoot, he can score in a lot of ways. That was a nice running shot there coming from CJ.
Now it's Chris Rosales getting the ball from Junmar Pajardo. Junmar trying to direct traffic, seeing Don Troliano's in the corner. They finally give it to Don Troliano, who triggers a 3-ball. Good line, but no dice.
We have not seen CJ Perez in a long time.
That is interesting, Coach. But then we all know that he can explode in short minutes, so that will be a foul against Chris Rosales. Chris Newsom just too quick. So the foul count here, Coach, it feels like it's rising fast. Again, with around 4:12 left here, as both teams are ready with 9 fouls in this ball game, rather in this quarter alone.
If you're Meralco, you're doing a good job in keeping this close. This could have been a 20-point game with the way San Miguel started that first quarter.
10-point lead here for the San Miguel Beermen. CJ Cancino wants to make it a bit closer. CJ Cancino blocked by Junmar Pajardo. And Junmar, just great timing there from the big man.
But when you're attacking Junmar in the pick and roll, you can't be passive. You need to be aggressive. That's an easy block for Junmar.
Yeah, you have to try and find a way to get him unbalanced or able to not really raise his hands.
And you do that with speed or with a change in direction.
Here's Banquero with the score, and all of a sudden, San Miguel Beermen need to sue for time. A single-digit ball game here with Meralco still leading 45-37, still with 7 minutes on the clock. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We'll be right back in just a bit as we take a look at some of the highlights here with Chris Banquero pushing that on. We'll hold on to the air, but Coach, you take a look at how the Meralco Bolts have done here, trying to play catch-up with the lead down to single digits as well.
They're getting people in movement here. Earlier, we saw Cancino with that running floater. And then this time, Banquero off that curl. He makes that running floater as well. Here comes Banquero. He's so good going to that right, and then he can take that pull-up. He has that penetration, and he also has that floater. This guy can score in a variety of ways. The three-point shot has not been there. This conference, look at those numbers, only 14.3, but that's small sample size. He was injured, only played 7 out of the 11 games, and he's going to get better from the outside.
Well, let's see whether or not that will be true, Coach, because they do need a scoring, especially from beyond the arc. Another floor spacer will really help them, some of the Meralco Bolts. Here's Marshall Lassiter. Speaking of floor spacers, CJ Cancino right in front of him. There's a big pick to his right. Now they're swinging around to Mami Johnson. Now Don Troliano. Short shot clock, and Don Troliano picks up where he left off.
He's just so good with that counter move, Don Troliano. Very similar to Amar Pugoy. You have to respect the three-point shot. That's why counter dribble goes all the way to the basket for that easy layup.
Setting with his left, getting past the defender with a couple of dribbles as well. Don Troliano has been putting on a clinic here at Ninoy Aquino. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Well, let's take a look at the highlights of Don Troliano because he has been on the tear here for the San Miguel Beermen. Don Troliano able to put up 10 points in 9 minutes. Coach, efficiency personified.
And all of those points inside the paint. He has not really made a three-point shot here. Troliano making his damage, everything, attacking and inside the paint.
Chris Newsom finding Bates. Bates likes to go outside to Bong Quinto. Quinto attacking Junmar Fajardo. Short shot clock. Fall away Jay. No dice. As Don Troliano fouled by Brandon Bates. And there was another opportunity there, Coach, wherein you felt that maybe if they opted for that close-range stab instead of passing it out, it might have resulted in a bucket.
That is correct. I thought Brandon had a shot as well.
Yeah.
Under the basket. And when he's on the move, he should not be afraid to shoot over Junmar.
Don Troliano to shoot two, who has had a great game for himself here. There is another. Watch our Alas Pilipinas at the 2025 ABC Volleyball Nations Cup for men this June 17 to 23, only on One Sports Plus, and Pilipinas Live. Brandon Bates goes back to the bench as Raymond Almazan, the veteran that he is there to pick up his number.
Great numbers off the bench here for Troliano. He has provided a lift for San Miguel because we haven't seen CJ in a long time.
Newsom handing it off to Banquero. Nuno. Little bump, little shot, and that's good. What can Chris Newsom do, Coach?
The body control is excellent here from Newsom going to the left. He will absorb the contact, and then once he hears the whistle, that's his shot.
Yeah, that's his shot, Coach. And bonus free throw here for Chris. A basket here will make it a 9-point ball game. Gets that one to go. 49-40 with 3 minutes left here in the first half. Thank you so much for joining us here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. As Swami Chongson finds CJ Perez. CJ against Chris Newsom. Gets a switch here. Swami Chongson, quick trigger three, no good. They go to Newsom. Great find from Cancino, but no result from Chris Newsom.
But that's okay. They pushed that ball. They got an open shot, open three-pointer because of the transition offense that they're doing here. That's Meralco basketball. You should be okay with that.
And this is San Miguel basketball, Coach. Going to Junmar Fajardo at the post, attracting the double team as they've changed their scheme. They were playing one-on-one a while ago, but their bigs have accumulated quite a few fouls already in this one. And Junmar Fajardo with the easiest tap to be able to put that in.
And that's the problem when you front Junmar Fajardo. When his teammates miss, it's an easy offensive rebound for him.
And that was an easy interception there coming from the San Miguel Beermen, as it will be Ronnie Brondial hitting the deck, and that'll be a foul on Bong Quinto.
Meralco is over the limit. Here's that last play. Look at Almazan fronting Fajardo. So now Fajardo has that inside position for that easy tip in.
Ronnie Brondial to shoot 2 free throws. Coach, we talk about Rodney Brondial, his history, his pedigree, especially with Coach Leo Austria. Obviously has played under him numerous times in the past. But here having a bit of career resurgence, and sometimes he isn't seen as one of the more important members of the San Miguel franchise, but I can guarantee you he definitely is.
Well, he knows his role.
Yeah.
You give him 5 minutes, he plays his heart out. You give him 30 minutes, he can still be effective. You don't run any plays for him, but he will be a beast on rebounding and on the defensive end.
Here is Chris Banquero off the dribble handoff from Almazan, and Chris Banquero does it all by himself. Watching your basket there for Meralco, cut the lead down to 12, rather 11.
So good going to his right with that little floater.
Now it's Don Troliano's turn. Trying to feed Junmar Fajardo, is playing one-on-one alongside Raymond Almazan. Eventually the double arrives as CJ Perez goes on the attack. And that's a basket and one for Rodney Brondial.
I don't know if The scheme is to double Fajardo even if he's not far away from the basket. But Banquero gets committed. This is that last play, so they swing the ball around because of that double team. And guess who's there? Rodney Blondial, just being at the right place at the right time. Again, knowing his role.
Again, Rodney Blondial knowing his role, not asking for too much as a star or as a player, but then definitely one of the key cogs of making the San Miguel team work.
Because he does not go away from his strengths. He does not try to do anything that is not part of his game.
56-42 at the moment with 1 minute 18 left. Banquero finding Raymond Almazan. Banquero, shot no good, and still the struggle continues for the Meralco Bolts on the offensive end as we are reaching the last minute mark. Junmar. Wami Chongson, Wami trying to manufacture something out of nothing.
That's what Wami learned a lot in Terra Firma because he was the primary creator in that team. An excellent pick and roll player, or even one-on-one. What a nice move there against Chris Newsom. And San Miguel on top again here by 16.
I would argue one of the more underrated one-on-one players, talking about Wami Chongson, as he is putting on a clinic with his footwork and, of course, his finishing ability. As it is the San Miguel Beermen leading here 58-42. As we take a look at Wami Chongson's highlights here, Coach. Around 10 points per game and near 45% on three-point line.
But that's the biggest number there. They got him for his outside shooting because they needed a floor spacer to go with CJ and Junmar. And this is exactly what San Miguel is getting. The 43.7% from beyond the arc has been excellent for Wami. And so far in this game, look at those numbers. 8 points already in the game for Wami Chongson.
I'm excited to see the stats later on, Coach, especially during the halftime break when we discuss the turnover possibilities and, of course, the turnover of the Meralco Bolts in terms of their situation holding on to the ball. And it looks like they're going to try and review this. Well, for the Meralco Bolts, Coach, nothing right happening for them on the offensive end. You mentioned a while ago they need to push the pace. That has not been the case here because it feels like San Miguel have been set through most parts of this ball game.
And then again, off the timeout, this is a turnover, but we'll see. Maybe not because of this challenge from Coach Luigi Trillo.
Well, you take a look at the turnovers of the first quarter. They had 5 in that first quarter alone. So the San Miguel Beermen have been doing enough here to just really pressure them and get them out of sorts here in this one so far.
And we thought it should be the other way around. It should be Meralco forcing the turnovers and then getting on the break. But San Miguel has done a great job.
In the first quarter, Coach, 8 turnover points in favor of the San Miguel Beermen. So that has really been a factor or a really point of concern here as the Meralco Bolts are going to get the decision in just a bit. It's a successful challenge
by CJ Perez. Went off the fingers of CJ. So Meralco will get to keep its challenge.
36.8 left here in the first half. That's Chris Newsom. Now to Raymond Almazan. Chris Banquero up top. Falling by, going to attack. Raymond Almazan with the follow.
He has made an impact in this game, Raymond, even though he committed 2 quick fouls against Junmar in the first quarter.
Well, he's made an impact on both ends of the floor, Coach. A couple of blocks already, if I'm not mistaken. As here's Junmar Fajardo. Surveying the field is Raymond Almazan right there. He's giving him baseline, Coach. Let's see what happens here. He fronts him. And
Hodge was there. Hodge is there.
Hodge is there, and 3 blue shirts come in. But who comes up away with the offensive rebound? Brondial. And they're going to heave this. It won't work out. And that'll do it for the first half. For the San Miguel Beermen, Coach, just dominating on both ends of the floor. Defensively, so stifling. Offensively, has been dynamic, Coach.
They've been very good here. Dominant first half here coming from Meralco. Newsom trying to do his best to keep his team afloat. but just too much June Malfajardo in that first half for San Miguel.
Well, let's see whether or not this early rematch won't result in an early end of the conference for the Meralco Bolts. We'll be right back after the short break with the San Miguel Beermen leading 58-44 in this do-or-die affair for the Meralco Bolts. So go away, we'll be right back.
Yo, umangat pa ang mga bida sa gilas ng ringas, perlas ang silangan, lalong umangas, lalong tumalas ang pinuhunang katas ng
Filipinas Live.
Pilipinas Live is the home of Philippine volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP, all in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
About Philippines.
Pilipinas Live is the home of Philippine volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP, all in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
Filipinas Live.
Home of Philippine volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP, all in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
Volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP. All in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
Filipinas Live.
At 36% and then 16 out of 19 from the line. So total offensive game here for San Miguel, and then only 2 turnovers. That's been a very, very good job by San Miguel in taking care of the ball. Points of turnovers, we mentioned that earlier, Paolo. San Miguel leading that department together with the bench points.
Take a look at the leading scorers here. Don Trollano and Junmar Fajardo leading the charge here, with Don Trollano having a specifically great first quarter, while Chris Newsom and Chris Banquero have been leading the way. A bit of a surprise, Norbert Torres contributing with 7 points, Coach, but they need more guys to step up here if you're the Meralco Bolts.
They're going to need guys like Quinto, maybe Cancino to provide more points here. Newsom and Banquero, they've done their job. For San Miguel, as expected, Junmar is there. Trollano, 12 points, a lot of them inside the paint. But CJ Perez, limited minutes in the first half, but Junmar has been dominant in this pick and roll game, high screen and roll, whether it's CJ or Wami as his partner.
You know what, Junmar Fajardo averages around 13 rebounds per game. He's only had 6 here so far, Coach, but still very much on the way to getting there. He's only had 5 shot attempts, but already with 11 points. Just very efficient in terms of his scoring as well, Coach. Junmar Fajardo, always going to be the center of the universe in terms of the scoring here, of the offense rather. And he has scored well against all the defenders so far of the Meralco Bolts, and also throwing 6 fouls in the process.
4 out of 5 from the field here for Junmar.
Here's Wami Chongson as we get going here in quarter number 3. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. And that's a good defensive possession coming from Brandon Bates. Here's Cliff Hodge sailing in for 2 for the basket and 1.
That is exactly how you want to start if you are Meralco. Get a stop, and then run, attack on the fast break. Hodge getting that pass coming from Banquero, and he goes strong to the basket.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. Attack whenever they are able to get a one-stop opportunity. But that has come few and far in between, as there is Jumar Fajardo coming away with a rebound over Brandon Bates. Here's CJ Perez now.
Well, of course, it's hard to attack in transition because number one, San Miguel has only committed 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they're also shooting well from the field.
Jumar Fajardo feeding Marshall Lassiter. He's wide open. That time, dodged a bullet there. Come with the Meralco Bolts. Here's Bong Quinto working up against Marshall Lassiter, taking him to the post. Here's Bong Quinto. Oh, and what a spin, but Jumar Fajardo is there. Bates can't get that one to fall.
But that's a great jump by Bates.
Yep.
Fighting for that offensive rebound.
Whammy Johnson wide open in the corner, and he is money. A dead shot from beyond the arc. This three-point shot is brought to you by Rexona. Stay cool in the heat of the game with Rexona Ice Cool. It won't let you down.
That is why he is shooting over 40% from the field beyond the arc.
Here's Cliff Hodge. That time attack Rodney Brondial, who goes down holding on to his face. Believe he may have caught an errant arm. Let's take a look at this again, and there's that block coming from Junmar Fajardo, Bong Quinto. Just a reminder na matangkad talaga si Junmar Fajardo.
In transition, Brondial, you might think, maybe I can get this shot off because it's Newsom right in front of me, but he sees a wide open Chongson.
Chris Banquero just took out a cameraman, coach, as he went on for that lay-in. But he's okay. Oh, but CJ Perez sails in as well. Too easy.
That's too easy.
Too easy with the penetration.
Just a straight line drive from Perez, and I'm sure Coach Luigi Spilio will not be happy about that.
That'll be a foul from Whammy Chongson. Banquero obviously feeling that and just waiting for the whistle to be blown. 10-11 left here in quarter number 3. As we have an update here from our own Bel Gregorio. Bel.
We need brave men to fight in the second half. That was the call of the Meralco coaches back in the dugout. Offensively, as per assistant coach Sandro Soriano, they lamented how the Beermen were just blowing by their defense, particularly Troliano and Tiongson. Offensively, they are looking to move the ball more and limiting their fouls, which have been slowing them down. They just want to dictate quicker speed and tempo and make SMB's defense more vulnerable to breakdowns. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. We need brave men. Buti na lang. I have Coach Mark Molina here because he knows all about being brave. Of course, defense also an issue there, like we referenced a while ago. Troliano and Chongson in particular, Coach. When you take a look at how to stop their incursions into the paint in particular, how does one go about finally doing that? As Jumar Fajardo could keep that alive.
Now Meralco's getting the stops. And when they do that, they need to take advantage. They need to score before Junmar is established inside the paint defensively.
And here is Chris Banquero now using pick from Brandon Bates, switched on Junmar Fajardo. That is typically the move. Try to get Junmar Fajardo in a pick and roll situation, and that time Chris Banquero taking advantage of Whammy Chongson.
Very patient move there by Chris Banquero. And he goes back to his strong right hand. There he is. He knows that he is stronger than Whammy, so he goes around Whammy for that layup.
You know, Coach, there are always some players that are picked on in the pick and roll. For the San Miguel Beermen, typically it involves Whammy Chongson and Junmar Fajardo.
Yes, you're right.
For those wondering how applicable is that for other teams, in Barangay Ginebra San Miguel, it's actually RJ Abarientos. I mean, like, he has been one of the more famous examples as of late. So yes, there are players typically that are matchup hunted. And that time, Banquero almost getting that turnover.
We are seeing a lot more life here coming from Meralco on the defensive end.
Here's CJ Perez, who you felt did not play enough in that first half. And it was interesting decision there from Coach Leo Austria. As Bong Quinto gets the jumper, brings the lead down to 8.
Just like that. It's at 8 points. This was as high as 16 or 17, I believe.
As Chongson has it now, the biggest lead was at 16 at 58 to 42. And that'll be a foul on Banquero. Again, the foul count has been an issue for the Meralco Bolts, especially in that first half. That is their first year. They had a lot of fouls. So talking about the Meralco Bolts, they sent the San Miguel Beermen to the line 19 times.
And then San Miguel took advantage.
Yep.
16 out of 19 in that first half.
That's a cool 84% from the free throw line from San Miguel Beermen. Here's Mami Chongson. We're seeing a bit more flow in this ball game. On near turnover there, Junmar has to go, gets that off, but then that's a block from Bates.
That's great. On the part of Bates with that late challenge.
Oh, but what a save from CJ Perez. Marshall attacking Bates. High off the glass, no good. Junmar Fajardo unable to control the rebound, but it falls to Rodney Brondial.
But the pace here in the third quarter is very much to the liking of Meralco.
Yeah, they're starting to find their groove just a bit. And there is Hodge trying to prevent the shot, instead getting the arm of a Junmar Fajardo.
And when you are having a problem here, San Miguel, when there's some concern on your offense, you get the ball to CJ Perez, and he will make things happen.
7:57 left here in the third with Junmar Fajardo on the free throw line. They have had a fantastic game so far from the free throw line. Junmar Fajardo, though, having a subpar day with a 60% clip so far. Will that change here? We'll find out in just a bit as Junmar drains the first and Bel Gregorio comes right in.
Paulo, you mentioned that Junmar is currently having a subpar performance. However, overall, he is currently leading the BPC race. When we asked him about it earlier before tip-off, he said he wasn't even aware. He believes that what has made SMB successful this conference is their balanced scoring. He also doesn't want to get distracted by such accolades, insisting that his bigger priority tonight is just getting the job done right away against Meralco. Remembering how the Balls can easily take advantage of them relaxing even for just a bit, so they must go hard from start to finish. Paolo?
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. And I just want to clarify, Bel, I said subpar day from the free throw line. Only 60% there. I don't want to ever say that Junmar is having a bad game. Because if he hears this, wala lang, he's too kind. He won't do anything. But on the line here, Chris Banquero. Coach Chris Banquero, we talked about the need for him to actually step up his game to try and get over San Miguel. He's been doing that, but then they need a third guy to come up as well.
He's doing that and a lot more, especially here in the third quarter. He has attacked Wami repeatedly here defensively, and much better for Meralco here in the third quarter.
Hodge able to save that to Bates. That's a great effort there from Cliff Hodge. Banquero on the PNR. Wow. Oh, what a reverse from Chris Banquero. Oh, Chris Banquero has injected a bit of life here to the Meralco Balls with what has been a bit of a run here in the third quarter. Take a look at this again, Coach. One of the prettiest lay-ins.
Banquero takes advantage of his speed against the switching Gondial, and he scores once again going to his right hand.
65 to 58. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's San Miguel Meralco here on PBA Rush, and for the Bolts, it's Chris Banquero leading the way and scoring. He was badly missed when they met in round 1, and according to Coach Sandro Soriano, they believe that their offense would not have been as stagnant if they had CB around. But now that he's back, they have confidence that his playmaking and veteran presence will allow them to have better flow and organization in their offense. And defensively, he'd also be able to challenge SMB's guards considering how well he stood his ground in their final showdown. Gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. As right now, the Meralco Bolts have been going a little run as Bates couldn't finish, and Hodge hits the deck once again. So we go the other way here, Coach. Here's Don Trollano. Trollano, who was so good in that first half, has yet to really leave an impression here. As playing really quick here. Banquero got that up before CJ Perez could arrive.
And look at that. The moment they got that ball, Meralco, Banquero was running there in easy layup. Nice pass from Newsom.
Here's CJ Perez. Perez finding Brondial, and Brondial with an easy 2. Yeah, Brondial, one of those guys, especially in that first quarter, second quarter, key contributor there, especially on the rebounding end.
And he's going to be free in that pick and roll because all of the attention of the defense will be on CJ Perez.
Bates trying to get that over Junmar Fajardo, but then Junmar just so imposing on the defensive end. Here is CJ Perez. CJ trying to get going here. Well rested after seeing just a few minutes in that first half. CJ Perez getting his numbers up here. He didn't even play 10 minutes in that first half, Coach. He was at 9 minutes and 28 seconds.
And he's starting to take over.
Yes, he is.
First that pocket pass to Brondial, and then this time he takes it strong to the basket. Excellent reads coming from CJ.
Banquero trying to save this possession. He's out to Bong Quinto in the wing. Quinto looking for a 4, left that short, and couldn't chase his own miss.
That's why you always follow your own shot. If you follow this shot after that, he would have gotten that offensive rebound.
Yeah, sometimes, there's some shots that you feel that are good, but apparently don't turn out to be the case. Raymond Almazan coming in for Brandon Bates. Again, he also had a very good first half. Talking about Raymond Almazan, rock and roll, turning back the clock. Here's CJ Perez, that time off the mark. Junmar Fajardo taps that to himself. And that time almost running into a teammate here. Don Trollano wants a 3, can't get it. And here's a chance again for Meralco. They are more at home running the floor. Raymond Almazan catching and scoring.
What a terrific job here by Newsom. He's not scoring much, but he's getting the ball to the right people here and getting some transition baskets.
And a backcourt violation as well. So a bit of a run here from the Meralco Bolts. It's coming off better defending, exactly what they wanted in that first half.
The pressure defense.
Yeah.
San Miguel is now being bothered by this pressure defense coming from Meralco. This is really the formula to beat San Miguel.
Of course, the San Miguel Beermen doing what they could here to try and hold off the storm from the Meralco Bolts. But here's Banquero, and Junmar Fajardo of the defensive end is becoming a force here, Coach.
Right now, everything is downhill for Chris Banquero. If you're his defender, you should give him a little bit of space and make him shoot from the outside.
And of course, for the San Miguel Beermen, Coach, it has been... you had to expect adjustments here from the Meralco Bolts, at least on the defensive end. And right now, there's a bit of a struggle trying to adapt to that. Here's Junmar. Sam working against Raymond Almazan. The double comes. A while ago in that first half, they tried their best to just cover him with one guy, either Brandon Bates or Raymond Almazan. But eventually, as the foul count started piling up, they had to send in doubles. At one point, they sent triple teams. But this time, more conventional, and it's been working.
They're funneling to him. Almazan is trying to funnel Junmar to go to the baseline. And then there will be a quick double team coming from Hodge. Because when you let Junmar go baseline, you take away his passing angle. That is what Meralco is trying to do here.
Junmar Fajardo, so good at free throw line. Raymar Jose, a fan favorite of Coach Mark Molina, also on the floor. He is a ravenous rebounder.
He's a tough rebounder, especially on the offensive glass. Will fight for loose balls as well.
Yeah. 14 and 11, a casual double-double here for Junmar Fajardo. Had 6 rebounds in the first half. Already has 5 this quarter, coach. Here's Chris Newsome. New. Using the pick from Almazan, and at that time trying to thread the needle there. And that'll be a kick ball. Okay, and Chris Newsome has been such a driving force for the Meralco Bolts. Banquero. Oh, what a feed! What a fight from Chris Banquero!
Banquero's just making things happen here for Meralco.
How did he find that pass? Chris Banquero, just so fantastic. Here is Junmar Fajardo, Raymond Almazan right in front of him. Double team comes. There's CJ Perez attacking the closeout. CJ terminates the Don Troliano. Challenge shot. He gets it a ball anyway.
Troliano, that was a great defensive sequence coming from Meralco, but Troliano just calmly hits that 15-footer.
Here's Chris Newsome. Newsome with the drive, and Newsome, he's been growing into this game as well, coach.
Now that's what you mean by attacking the pick and roll defense of Junmar Fajardo.
Yes,
Newsome showing us a clinic on how to do it.
Here's Don Troliano using the pick there from Mota Tua. Troliano shoving off Raymar Jose, and he's actually very strong. Talking about Don Troliano, he's able to shove off against bigger defenders, or rather uses some strength.
He has not settled for outside shots the entire game. It's all inside the paint here for Don Troliano, except for that last jumper that he had a while ago.
You know, from a size advantage, you know, size vantage point rather, a lot of people would think that Meralco would actually be doing well in the interior with the likes of Raymond Almazan, with Brandon Bates, even Raymar Jose, and a while ago Norbert Torres.
Not against this team.
Not against this team. They are fearless. They have been attacking over and over again.
Especially with this lineup. Fajardo, Tautua, and Troliano in the front line.
Well, the Meralco Bolts are middle of the road when it comes to defending in the paint. They are actually at number 8 at 41.82 points per game in terms of that number. As Raymar Jose will absorb a foul from Mo Tautua. 75-66 here in favor still of the San Miguel Beermen. Aaron Black to Chris Newsome. Newsome against Chris Ross. Ross fouling Chris Newsome, while Newsome just crafty. That's a veteran move. Yeah.
He knew he was going to get fouled. And when you're aggressive like that, you get a lot of calls. Now it's Newsome's turn to be more aggressive as the point of attack, because Banquero is now on the bench trying to get a breather here.
Chris Newsome only took 6 shots in that first half. As we see Alain Maliksi there a while ago, some of the unavailable players here for the Meralco Bolts.
They really miss his firepower.
Oh yes, they
off the
do.
bench.
And he's such an entertaining player to watch. The way that he runs off the ball in particular, he puts on a clinic. That's one of the reasons why he gets his open looks. 67-75 here, still in favor of the San Miguel Beermen with 2:54 left here in the third. Thank you so much for joining us here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. As Jericho Cruz finds Junmar Fajardo. Don Troliano against Chris Newsome. And that was a good seal, but then Raymond Almazan insistent that was not a foul. That's a 5th foul on Raymond.
Almazan is upset because he was able to tap that ball but gets called for the foul.
So because of that, they're going to have to call for time here. Let's take a look at that again and see if they have a point here. And I don't know if that would have been reversed if that was reviewed. But either way, it is a big lead for San Miguel, 75-67. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Pilipinas Live is the home of Philippine volleyball. Watch your favorite volleyball leagues such as Spikers Turf, Premier Volleyball League, and the UAAP. All in one app. You can watch all these games and more live and on your preferred device. Download Pilipinas Live today from the App Store or Google Play Store and register for free.
Welcome back. You're still watching our PBA. Let's take a look at the conference averages here. Now, if you take a look at this, the San Miguel Beermen have been number one in most categories here, including points, field goals, points in paint, and second chance points. Notably, defensively, they should be the same if you take a look at points allowed, coach. But for the Meralco Ball, it's a bit of a struggle this conference. We called them a bit middle of the ground. And they gotta be a bit creative here, coach, because Raymond Almazan has not been returned to the floor because he has 5 fouls, but then that's a great turnover. And Reymar Jose making a difference in his cameo.
What a great substitution there by Coach Luigi Filio to get Reymar Jose and all his energy on the floor here for Meralco. That's 4 points now for Reymar Jose and a whole lot of hustle.
6-point lead here as the San Miguel Beermen are still trying to take this team away. Don Troliano almost there for a 4-point shot as Aaron Black finding Norbert Torres. And Norbert getting him up in the air. Basket and one. And Meralco are back in the races.
This is a different game. First half, San Miguel only 2 turnovers. That's not the case here in the third quarter. And with long rebounds, you also can get in the fast break. And now, the nice thing here with Meralco, those last 2 times, it's the big men who are finishing on the break. Earlier it was Jose, now it's Torres. That means these big men are outrunning Junmar Fajardo in transition, which is a key to beating San Miguel.
Well, let's see whether or not if they can continue that, coach. Again, they are playing with Reymar Jose and Norbert Torres, guys who haven't really gotten a lot of minutes this conference, coach, and they are now tasked to defend a multiple-time MVP. There's a double team. Junmar working against them, and he scores anyway. And Norbert Torres actually said, what could I do?
But that's fine. If you're Meralco, Fajardo's going to get his points.
Yes, he will.
Just play on.
Norbert Torres, he'll try to get a 3 back. Norbert Torres!
That's how you answer if you're Norbert Torres.
What a ball game we have here, because Meralco, who looked stuck in the mud offensively in the first half, have suddenly turned it up here in quarter number 3, trying to stay alive in the conference and defend their crown. Jericho Cruz open from the top, cannot answer back, it's in and out. Mo throws it away, Jericho Cruz couldn't catch it.
That's going to be over and back. What about these 2 bench players from Meralco? Torres and Reymar Jose holding their own against Fajardo and Tautua.
And they just had to, coach, needs must here for these 2. As right now, Junmar Fajardo will go back to the bench, and this will actually speed up the lineup for the San Miguel Beermen.
But if you're Meralco, you're smelling blood. You wanna try to control this game with Fajardo on the bench.
Wami Chongson running the break here. Jericho Cruz, they have the numbers on about San Miguel. And Don Troliano trying to flip that up. Rodney Brondial, another offensive rebound, and with another finish.
That's why you love Rodney Brondial. Instant impact.
Offensive rebounding has been key for Rodney Brondial in this game, as Chris Newsom misses the 3-ball. 4-point lead still for the San Miguel Beermen. That was a little 2-for-1 opportunity if they are able to make use of the last 2 seconds of the clock here. Wami Chongson working on Cancino, using a big pick from Mo Tautua. Chongson with the jumper. That will be 2 free throws.
Jose will be called the foul on the closeout.
And that is a bit of a gut punch there because short shot clock. Shot went up. And a bit of a bailout there. With 6.6 left here in the third. 4-point lead for the San Miguel Beermen.
But if you're Meralco, you're still okay.
Yeah.
You were able to cut this lead here in the third quarter. Here's that last shot of Wami. Just a little bit reckless on the closeout for the saying. We talk about discipline. We're talking about Meralco giving up the most fouls in the league, sending a lot of players to the free throw line. It becomes a problem once again. I mean, these are habits that you cannot have if you want to beat San Miguel.
6.6 left here. What can CJ Cancino do? He'll pull up for 4 right at the face of Mo Tautua. Off the mark. And we are going to go to the fourth quarter. 81-75 in favor of the San Miguel Beermen. Now the question is, can the Meralco Bolts come up with one last hurrah? Or will the San Miguel Beermen send the defending champs home and book their spot into the semifinals? Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
How much do we love Pinoy sports? As a fan, we don't just watch the games.
The season for me, and I just owe it all to the work I put in.
We watch every part, every angle, every name. We talk about the plays. Talk about it for days. We witness the big events, the thrilling moments, and relive the best seconds. We cherish the fears, the tears, at syempre, the cheers. How much do we love Pinoy sports? With all our heart, all-out passion. All the time. All with Pilipinas Live. Ang app natin para sa sports natin.
Let's take a look at the game summary here as we take a look at the points of turnover for the San Miguel Beermen. They have double the production here of the Meralco Bolts, 10-5 at going into the fourth quarter. This was prominent, especially in that first half. They were able to use the defensive frailties, rather offensive frailties of the Meralco Bolts and got them running, as we see multiple opportunities there. But what about Chris Banquero? In that third quarter, really turned it up with 22 points, 2 assists, including one really nifty one in that third quarter. 9 of 13 from the field, has been doing his job. But what about Junmar Fajardo? Junmar Fajardo putting up the numbers here, a double-double of 17 and 11 and still growing. 3 blocks, also showing off his defensive game here today. A lot to play for here as Wami Chongson hits a triple to start out the quarter here for the San Miguel Beermen. Paulo Del Rosario alongside Coach Mark Molina. This 3-point shot is brought to you by Rexona. Stay cool in the heat of the game with Rexona Ice Cool. It won't let you down. You got Gregorio's also sidelines.
You gotta love Wami. Without CJ Perez, he is always willing, never afraid to take over. Cancino, big mistake, goes under the screen. There was a lot of room for Cancino to have fought that screen, but he goes under. Wami making a statement.
Well, the thing is, Wami Chongson, again, we talked about his role a while ago. Back with the Terra Firma Jeep, he had so much of the ball, would create for himself. But here, he has so many opportunities off the ball and even gets his turn on the ball, like what he's doing here. As Mo Tautua, what an athletic play.
But the nice thing with Wami, he has learned to pick his spots. He has learned to be on the decoy and being off the ball. But when he is needed to be the scorer in that pick and roll, he is capable of doing it.
CJ Cancino with a basket to answer Mo Tautua. Again, the pick and roll game between Mo Tautua and Wami Chongson has been working well. They go back to it again. There he is, though, corralled by Brandon Bates. Jeric Cruz with a jumper right in front of Bates. So right now, the bench mob of the San Miguel Beermen, coach, have been doing well without Junmar Fajardo and CJ Perez on the floor.
Well, this is a very capable lineup still, even without those two. You have Chongson and you have Toliano and Cruz.
Cancino unable to get anything done early on at the rim. And you know, to be fair, this particular lineup for the San Miguel Beermen, it could match and even beat many starting lineups in the league. Again, a connection between Mo Tautua and Wami Chongson on point. But then Rodney Brondial couldn't get the second effort to count. But what about a third? Here's Jericho Cruz asking for a pick here. He'll get it from Mo Tautua. Long 2-ball, no good. And Rodney Brondial there again to make sure that San Miguel Beermen gets the rebound. But Jericho Cruz with a miss. A lot of chances, no results. As Chris Banquero unable to keep it. So San Miguel fans showing off their voice here because it has been a good start to the fourth quarter for the San Miguel Beermen, courtesy of guys like Wami Chongson and Mo Tautua.
Wami with that big three, and then Tautua, of course, and Jericho Cruz contributing as well.
Well, there's a technical foul on Coach Luigi Trillo for resentment of a non-call. And Wami Chongson will be there to shoot the technical.
Now, the momentum that Meralco was able to gain towards the end of the third quarter has been stymied a bit here by San Miguel. And impressive that they're doing it without their main stars.
And again, we gotta pay credit to the connection of Mo Tautua and Wami Chongson. As we take a look at this again, this is a non-call, and they're saying that Mo Tautua may have had a touch or should have been a foul.
I think they wanted a foul.
Yeah.
Coach Luigi Trillo asking for a foul. But I thought it was called correctly because Mo was not in the illegal position, in my opinion.
Well, either way, the referees did not call that in agreement with you, Coach. Wami Chongson now. Again, that pick and roll with Mo Tautua has been dangerous. They've been going to it over and over again. But that time almost results in a turnover. Here's Mo. Mo Tautua with a reverse, no dice. And Rodney Brondial has been everywhere. It doesn't matter what their height is. And Mo Tautua wins the finish.
What about these two guys, Tautua and Brondial? This is what you need. If you want to be a champion team, you need the grit of Rodney Brondial and then Mo Tautua not giving up, dominant off that offensive glass.
Mo Tautua with the finish, never giving up on the play, as well as Rodney Brondial, and the bench mob with a 91-77 lead over the Meralco Bolts. We'll be right back.
Filipinas live. I can watch me.
Welcome back. You're still watching our PBA. Let's take a look at the numbers here of Mo Tautua. A near double-double already, Coach, as he is also perfect from the free throw line. Again, this is proof that if you lose out 35 pounds, things can go your way.
Oh, he's more active.
Yeah.
Because even if he lost 35 pounds, he's still a big guy.
Bel Gregorio has a story. Bel.
In Meralco's most recent huddle, Coach Nenad emphasized wanting to see more tightened one-on-one defense. Offensively, he wants them to go to the paint more, but changing direction as they attack to make SMB's defense vulnerable. For SMB, Coach Leo highlighted how their biggest focus now is defense, especially in transition, instructing the Beermen not to allow leakouts and wanting to see everyone exert effort in crashing the glass. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Bel Gregorio. Interesting that Coach Leo noted the transition defense because in that third quarter, Coach, that's really where Meralco punished the San Miguel Beermen on the offensive end.
But San Miguel has taken back the control here.
Yes, they did.
Courtesy of Wami. And these two bigs.
And right now there's a discussion. They are upset that there was no free throws given.
Yep. Well, there was a lot of contact
Yes,
between
there was.
Mami and CJ Cancino during that last play.
Don Trollano put on the air brakes as Jericho Cruz looking for a 4-pointer. No cigar. Now will be a foul from behind. It looks like Ronnie Brondial will be hit with that one.
And right now, Cliff Hodge is not a happy camper because of all the rebounds Brondial has been getting in this game.
I have to say that that matchup between Brondial and Hodge off the ball has been super fun to watch. Here's Cancino. Now to Banquero. Banquero shown a double there. Had to terminate. Cancino looking for a 4-pointer. Left that short. Brandon Bates can get the rebound, but it falls to Chris Newsome. New going to line to shoot 2 as soon as he felt the bump. And they're going to have to be a bit inventive here, talking about the Meralco Bulls and the way that they're scoring, because they were running the ball well in that third quarter, but since they were able to match up in terms of speed when they took away Junmar Fajardo, it has been difficult for them to contain the likes of Brondial and Motao Tua running the floor.
And then in the half-court offense, outside of Banquero, no one has really had consistent success for Meralco. And this is why they're going to need Bong Quinto, I feel, here in the final 8 minutes. They're going to need his scoring.
Newsome gets that one to go. 79-91. Big lead, but still with a chance to make a difference here. Here's Wami Chongson. CJ Perez now. CJ. Switching everything here. So Motao Tua has a size advantage over Chris Newsome. And that time will be fouled. On the ground. Couldn't really turn and shoot. So that's the difficulty when you switch everything, Coach. Because you're able to go mismatch hunting.
They're going to be mismatches for sure. But Meralco, they're switching because they want to play a more aggressive type of defense here. Maybe they can force some turnovers.
Yeah.
And Newsome is a guy you can switch to a lot of big men because he can hold his own.
Here's CJ Perez. Junmar Fajardo back on the floor. CJ trying to be controlled by Brandon Bates, and the ball will fall to Chris Banquero, but it looks like they're going to lose Brandon Bates in the next possession. He is asking for a sub. He is having a hard time moving, but here he is running anyway and saying that he should have fouled.
He should go down if you're Brandon Bates, so the referee can stop the game. There he goes.
Yeah, had to be instructed by the coaches to do that. It looks like he sprained that right ankle. So let's see. Let's hope that he's going to be okay, as I'm sure we're going to get an update later on from Bel Gregorio.
Well, the good thing is Torres has been playing well.
Yes, he has.
And Torres has the ability to space the floor. Of course, he doesn't have the defense and the presence of the taller Bates.
Here's Chris Newsome. Newsome on the attack, working on Junmar, and Junmar able to get the block. That's his 4th block of the game, Coach.
That was excellent defense from Junmar. And then
that'll be a foul from Banquero. And Banquero taking offense to the fact that CJ Perez asked for a flagrant foul.
Number 6, Chris Banquero. That's his 3rd foul.
Junmar gets the block, and then he's on the other end sealing so that Norbert Torres cannot help. And that opened up the lane here for CJ Perez.
You know, that's the thing with Junmar, is that for a guy his size, he is actually mobile. And he is able to make an impact play on one end of the floor and then be able to supplement on the other side.
For sure, for sure.
And also, he lost 2 pounds according to our courtside reporter. So he is 2 pounds faster than si Junmar Fajardo. Again, that is when you take a look at the weight loss of Don Trollano and Motao Tua, that is a bit of comedy coming from the many-time MVP. Here's Banquero. Turn that around to Norbert Torres. Norbert. They go to the corner. Bong Quinto off the mark. He is a guy that has not been able to contribute as much as Meralco would have liked here so much.
Meralco's really struggled from beyond the arc. This guy's the only one who is making shots, Norbert Torres.
They got to go here. Forces that up, and that will be another great defensive possession. And Junmar Fajardo will claim another rebound. Wami Chongson has been operating the pick and roll very well with Mo Tautua. Will probably call for that again or give it to Junmar. Junmar against Norbert, and that is a whack and a half coming from Cliff Hodge.
There's no choice on the part of Cliff Hodge but to foul Junmar. He's going to have his way against Norbert Torres.
So Junmar Fajardo, a chance to shoot 2. And, you know, there has been a tough conference here for the Meralco Bolts. They have to juggle BCL Asia duties. Right. They have to shuffle their team around, had to have 3 imports, 2 at a time, I believe, during BCL Asia. They had to get used to playing that.
That's a problem. Yeah. Because you're only playing pretty much with 3 locals the entire game. Look at the numbers of Bong Quinto. Off night for sure, only 2 out of 9 from the field from Quinto.
And Junmar Fajardo drains the free throws. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. Again, and they, I'm sure, would have spent a lot of time working on that. They had a quarterfinals run in the BCL Asia. Close but no cigar for them. And did the Philippines proud in so many ways. But the thing is that their campaign here would obviously be something that would have been affected in one way or the other. Cliff Hodge here, shooting 2.
Oh, that was way short there.
At least sumama sa rim, Coach.
Muntik na hindi.
97-81, 6:30 left here in the 4th quarter. As Cliff Hodge with one of the more unique free throw routines gets the second one to go. 97-82 the count here. 6:28 left here in the 4th quarter. As it looks like, I'm going to take a look at something here. Not quite sure. I believe they're going to check it out. So we saw the numbers there for Cliff Hodge, 10 points here. As Hodge has been has had some of the more impressive shooting performances of his recent career. This conference has been very good on the offensive end. As of now. Oh, so they just, Clock may not have rolled. So just sorting things out here. Just a bit of housekeeping. So 6:30 left here on the clock. And that still represents a lot of time, though, for the Meralco Bolts to mount to come back here. But they need to do it soon. Of course, it'll all start with a stop. CJ Perez working on Chris Newsom. New trying to stay in front of the Predator. Wide open, Don Trollano. He'll take that.
He is having himself a fantastic game here, Don Trollano.
So just a quick update on Brandon Bates. He suffered a strained right knee. After this big 4-pointer there from Chris Banquero to keep them a bit closer here. 14-point lead with 5:52 left. Oh, that's a lot of time. But attacking the closeout. Oh, Cliff Hodge. Timing perfect.
That's the Cliff Hodge that we know. I mean, he makes that kind of impact on the defensive end. But look at that. Fajardo diving ensures that Trollano is open. On-point pass coming from Perez. And this one, a retaliation 4-pointer coming from Banquero.
CJ Perez wants a triple that time. Couldn't get the shooter's touch. Celedonio Trollano. Close, but not quite there. With Hodge. Tried to terminate. He got up in the air and all of a sudden had to pass that out. So we'll go the other way here. San Miguel. One-man advantage until now. And that's a crucial tap there coming from Bong Quinto.
There's always a danger of playing out of control when you're playing fast.
Yeah.
But you have to take that. That comes with the territory if you're Meralco.
Sometimes being too unselfish is not productive. Timeout called on the floor. San Miguel soon for time. 100-86. Meralco trying to mount a comeback. Can they stay alive? We'll be right back. Well, quick recap here, quick update. Arbel Gregorio passes a note a while ago saying that Brandon Bates, while he has a sprained right knee, he is okay and will be available to come back if called upon. A bit ginger right now, but he knows that this could be their last minutes of the conference if they do not turn things around. At the moment, though, 5 on the floor here for the Meralco Bolts. You have Chris Banquero, Chris Newsom, Norbert Torres, Bong Quinto, and Cliff Hodge. Don Troliano waiting for the pick of Junmar Fajardo. Switching everything here, talking about the Meralco Bolts. Not that time, as there it is, a mismatch, and it is Junmar Fajardo. Great body control to finish, doesn't match it though.
Good play out of the timeout, but Junmar just misses that.
He's not able to get that, and Cliff Hodge tried to save it, dives into the stanchion.
And Quinto's just been off.
Yeah.
Off his game.
Not quite the offensive day that they needed from Bong Quinto. We saw the averages a while ago. We all know he's a quality player, at least especially on the offensive end. Here is Junmar Fajardo against Norbert Torres. And a turnover here. What can Meralco do? They need to score. Chris Banquero, foul going up, will shoot 2. And that's exactly what they needed, Coach.
But this guy, he's going to need some help. It's all been Banquero. I mean, some brilliance as well from Newsom. But these two guys are not going to do it by themselves.
Feels like we are welcoming the Meralco Bolts back to the PBA here because they have had that long layoff due to the BCL Asia duties that they had over in Dubai.
And yes, among the locals here, who played a lot of minutes in the BCL Asia? Newsom and Banquero for sure. That's why these two guys have not missed the rhythm, but the others have not really played well.
Well, we saw a while ago the averages of Aaron Black around 9.2 points per game, only 0 so far.
That's been missing. Yep. You need everybody contributing. Black, Cancino, Quinto, if you want to beat this juggernaut.
Well, so far, Coach, they are still within the realm of possibility in terms of coming back into this one. Wami Chongson shooting above Norbert Torres, unable to get it. So this is more comfortable here for the Meralco Bolts, attacking on the break. Bong Quinto, that's more like it. "12-point lead here. The San Miguel Beermen still in charge. 4:05 left. Yeah, well, a lot of time here, like we mentioned a while ago, Coach. But here's CJ Perez now, finding Junmar Fajardo, or at least tried to. Ball will stay with the San Miguel Beermen. They said it came off the leg of a Meralco player. Wami. Now to Junmar. You know, Junmar teases a 3-point shot. I know he hasn't made one this conference yet, Coach, but then he is capable. We've seen that in very many ways throughout the years. Oh, CJ Perez. Wow. On the attack, he was not afraid of Cliff Hodge. Hodge will be hit with a foul.
Torres switching onto CJ Perez. That's no contest. And CJ just blew by him.
And it looks like Hodge may have run into the lead leg of CJ Perez as he went up. Let's take a look at that again. There it is. And yeah, hit him where it hurts. They're going to challenge this. They're going to look for an offensive foul instead. Talking about the Meralco Bolts. They're saying that knee was extended and should have been a foul.
You're going to look if it's a natural basketball motion there coming from CJ Perez, because most players would really have their knees extended when they're attacking.
No one goes straight up.
Yep.
Well, not a lot at least. And that time, actually, for those who do basketball camps as a young kid, normally the lesson is to bring that leg up as you go up. So it's not successful because it is within shooting motion. Let's take a look at that again, Coach. So watch that right knee.
Right knee of CJ, that's a normal basketball move.
So nothing there for Cliff Hodge. Unfortunately for him, though, he got hit where it really hurts. So that's the reason why he is still on the ground right now.
And let's hope Cliff is okay.
Yeah.
Mandatory substitution.
So because Cliff Hodge is still on the floor, it's a mandatory substitution. It looks like they'll bring up Jansen Rios, another floor spacer here. But of course, the energy of Cliff Hodge was so important in the past few possessions, Coach.
Jansen Rios and Cliff Hodge.
Especially here in the fourth quarter. There were times, though, Di Blondel, I thought was outworking him especially in the rebounding department. But Cliff was having a good fourth quarter until he gets hurt.
Rodney Brondial is also another player here in a near double-double. Had 13 points and 9 rebounds at the end of that third quarter. Mo Tautua, as we saw a while ago, also a near triple-double. A double-double, rather. As right now, they are waiting for, or at least just checking in on Cliff Hodge, who is gingerly making his way back to the bench. And again, CJ Perez, so aggressive going forward. Being hit anywhere would have been painful from CJ.
I mean, the nice thing with CJ, his decision-making has really grown every year here in his career. He knows when to shoot, when to attack, when to pass the ball. Leads the defense well, and then you combine that with the talent and athleticism and the skill level of this guy. That's why he's the leading scorer, not just of San Miguel, but the entire league.
CJ Perez, of course, was always a gifted scorer. He also had to adapt to this San Miguel Beermen team when he first moved. And it has been a hand-in-glove fit ever since. As Brandon Bates checks back in. Again, right knee strain, according to our Bel Gregorio a while ago. And is okay now. 13 and 8 here in what has been based on his really high standards, a slow day. As Brandon Bates fouls Junmar Fajardo, going up 2 free throws here for Junmar.
And Junmar knows Bates maybe not 100% because of that injury earlier on.
Yeah.
Fresh off the bench. So what does Junmar do? Quickly pounds on the offensive glass and gets it over Bates.
Junmar gets a free throw. And of course, Bates still learning his craft, still very young in his career. Already a champion though.
20 points, 14 boards. Make that 21-14 for the MVP.
Now here is Chris Newsom. New. Oh, Newsom finding his way close to the rim, but then missing from point-blank range. That is a gut punch, Coach.
And you can see the facial reaction of Newsom.
Yeah.
Deflating.
Right now, the fight could not come out of the Meralco Bolts. And that time, a foul from Chris Newsom, who gamely helps CJ Perez back up. Fifth foul here on Chris Newsom, by the way.
San Miguel, all business here. Everything is going to the basket for CJ, and he's getting a lot of fouls.
CJ unable to get that to go.
But the big number there, 8 assists in the game for CJ Perez.
Yeah.
And he has taken over whenever he was needed.
Again, he actually saw, we got to re-emphasize it, saw very limited minutes in that first half, not even 10 minutes, which is a bit unusual.
Yes.
Chris Banquero needed a 4. And story of their day so far here, Coach, talking about the Meralco Bolts. Just unable to drain their shots here. Wami Chongson calling the shots here. Operating with Junmar Fajardo, finding CJ Perez, towing up a 4-pointer off the mark. Chris Banquero now. Banquero feeding Brandon Bates, finding Quinto. Quinto. Now Banquero. Banquero in and out. Bates with another one. Chris Newsom has it. And Bates will keep it alive again. Bates like, all right, let me finish it. 14 points they need to come up with in a 2:30. Talking about the Meralco Bolts. But right now, San Miguel very content in taking their time.
They're going to play the clock here. Tautua is on Rios, and I think they want to get that, to find that mismatch.
Oh, Wami Chongson that time, little nudge against Banquero. That'll be Junmar Fajardo with another offensive rebound against Brandon Bates. Bates has been struggling in the rebounding department against Junmar Fajardo. Here's CJ Perez, attack the closeout. Oh, Chris Newsom! Showing off the hops, the timing, and the defensive know-how.
That's just defensive pride. You're down 14 points in the final 2 minutes, but Chris Newsom will not give up an easy layup here for CJ Perez. That's character.
Oh, and that time CJ Perez with the miss. You know, you get a 3 here or a 4. Things might be good, and the pass just too hot there from Brandon Bates, who apologizes to Chris Banquero. Could have been a good find there. But time running out here for the Meralco Bolts as the San Miguel Beermen look to cruise to the semifinals here. The first team to book their spot after the 2 teams with a disadvantage yesterday, or the other day rather, unable to get their wins needed. CJ Perez all over the place. Brandon Bates fouled in the interior by Wami Chongson.
And I think all 8 teams in the quarterfinals capable of winning.
Yeah,
of course, beating San Miguel is harder than beating the other teams in the quarterfinal round. And Meralco, really a bad draw for them because they finished at number 8.
Chris Ross comes in for Wami Chongson with 1:26 left to go here in the 4th quarter, trying to see things out as the Meralco Bolts sue for time with a minute 26 left. Dominant lead for San Miguel, 104-90. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
You know what I love about Philippine
Already set to book our first semifinalist here today.
I love that matchup right in front of us. Scotty Thompson versus Alex Stockton. 2 two-way players, 2 teams, 2 capable superstar point guards trying to lead their teams to the semifinals.
The crowd building up for that here at the Nino Aquino Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us here on Pilipinas Live and on PBA Rush. For those who cannot make it here to the venue, it is set to be an exciting contest between the two, and we are excited to be a part of the team bringing that to you here. CJ Cancino finds Chris Newsom off the curl. Again, this is out of a timeout as Jansen Rios pulls up, and with a miss there as Hodge unable to claim the rebound. And the Meralco Bolts are looking like they are going to bid farewell this conference, unable to defend their crown. But then again, we just have to recognize just how difficult of a conference this was for the Meralco Bolts, who had to manage through different assignments all over the world. As Chris Newsom gets a 3-ball. I actually had a conversation with Chris Newsom, asking him, "Do you realize how much traveling you've done lately?" Then he said that he thinks he should have a travel show up next. Here's CJ Perez now to Mo Tautua. Wami Chongson, who has been a great point guard here in this game in particular. Don Troliano couldn't get that to go. As the Meralco Bolts are looking to salvage a bit of pride here with a better score line. And here is Chris Newsom, blocked from behind.
So CJ gets it back after getting blocked by Newsom.
4-pointer from Chris Banquero. And right now, the Meralco Bolts will keep on going here. Again, we'll play this to the very final whistle. So Chris Ross here a chance to make it 11-point lead yet again. Let's take a look at this one. Chris Banquero throwing up a 4-pointer. Again, he is the first ever PBA player to hit a 4.
And I think he's shooting better from 4 than from 3.
That is a funny stat. Chris Ross. So sure on free throw line. Gets the first of 2. Ronnie Brondial will come in for Jumar Fajardo. Oh, what a game as well from Ronnie Brondial. Again, just a workman-like performance.
I mean, he did his role.
Yeah.
I mean, champion teams are made because you have players doing their roles.
And doing it supremely well. As you got guys, we got credit to, they probably won't win best player of the game. Rodney Brondial, Mo Tautua, Wami Chongson to a degree. As the 4-pointer is no good. And that'll do it here with the San Miguel Beermen booking their first spot. Booking the first spot to the semifinals here in the Philippine Cup at the expense of the defending champions, the Meralco Bolts. A measure of revenge and a sign of intent. The San Miguel Beermen want the Philippine Cup back in their trophy cabinet. It has been a while, too long for the San Miguel Beermen, as they are set to try and get over whoever makes it across that matchup between Barangay Ginebra San Miguel and the Converge Fiber Xers. Best player of the game. Well, I said a while ago, might not win it. I was wrong. Rodney Brondial wins it.
Oh, he started it. He had like 3 offensive rebounds, I believe, in the first quarter. Relentless. Playing with a lot of grit and determination. Rodney Brondial, 13 points, 12 rebounds. You need role players. You need guys who will be champions in their roles, and Rodney Brondial did exactly that for San Miguel.
High impact player, Rodney Brondial getting it done. 108-97, the final score here in our first game of this doubleheader with the San Miguel Beermen moving on to the semifinals. Up next, the Converge Fiber Xers and Barangay Ginebra San Miguel will tussle in the other quarterfinal of this bracket. Converge looking to extend, Barangay Ginebra San Miguel looking to book their spot here tonight. We'll find out more about this one later on, but of course, when we return, some analysis in the press room. Don't go away.
Sa likod ng atleta, numero pero dala ang bandera, diretso sa gupa ang buwelta. Mga tagahanga, tagapamahala, mga veteran at mga bagito, pinakamismo at magagaling, walang alin. Pamilya at barkada, game ng umarangkada. Ito ang bagong tribo, let's go game tayo dito. Ang laban, everybody let's chase. Level up, game plan, here we go. Ang laban, everybody let's chase. Can't stop, level up, game plan, here we go.
PBA Usana Run.
Yo, umangat
The San Miguel Beermen books a ticket to the semifinals with a win over Meralco. Good evening and welcome to our post-game press conference. I'm joined by our winning coach, Coach Leo Austria, and our best player of the game, Rodney Brondial. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Coach Leo, there were a lot of comeback attempts from the Bolts, but you were still able to hold the fort with your top scorers on the bench. What does this tell you about your team and how ready you are for the semis?
Yeah, I think the bench did a good job in our game because they were able to sustain the energy and focus of the team. And you can see it naman the composure is really there. And then after leading by as many as, I think, 16 or 18, they cut it down to to 2 points, but were able to get back because of this team is really thinking of this playoff na we will get after ng elimination against Meralco. And it's all about pride because we know na in the last championship, the All-Filipino, Meralco beat us. And then, ayan, we redeemed ourselves from that loss. And then in the last conference, we never get into the quarterfinals. Now we're in the semifinals. I think it's a good achievement. But we're preparing for this conference to get all the way through the finals and eventually win the championship. But it's a long shot because in the next bracket, it could be Converge or Ginebra. And we know how strong that team is, and then especially Converse, they have a lot of big men that can match up to our big man at Junmar. And I think this game, so because of dominance of big man, we're able to get a lot of free throws. And I think that's the turning point there. Free throws, 35 out of 40 because of their defense in the perimeter. They keep on hustling and pressuring the guard and then covering our perimeter. But we have a big man that could help us, especially Mo. He helped us a lot. And this guy on my side, mga intangible nakikita natin. I think that's it.
Thank you, Coach Leo. Now, Rodney, throughout the entire game, napansin namin na nakaabang ka malapit sa basket and you're always there to rebound and clean up the shots of your teammates. Given Meralco's tight defense, paano mo pa ulit na nakahanap at nasisecure yung pwesto mo doon?
Siguro, sobrang tagal ko nang ginagawa yung ganyan sa rebounding. And syempre, kagandahan dito is divided yung attention nila, hindi lang nakafocus sa akin sa rebounding. So, nandiyan si Junmar, rebound din. So, sabi ko nga kanina, siguro maganda lang yung sinag ng Bonjit kaya natatapat sa akin yung bola. Chamba lang.
It was an early rematch of the finals of the Philippine Cup, but it did not turn out the way that Meralco expected. Let's zoom in to quarter number 1, where Chris Banquero sailed in for an easy 2. But even at the very beginning, Coach Mark, it was a dominant performance for San Miguel Beermen, especially with guys like Jumar Fajardo and Don Trollano.
From start to end, it was started by Rodney Brondial, and then when Trollano checked in, he did some magic right here.
He did a lot of magic there, Coach. And of course, the San Miguel Beermen really used their defense, actually, against the Meralco Bolts in that first half, 35-20. They really forced a lot of turnovers. They forced a lot of turnover points. And guys like Mo Tautua were able to feast. We got to give credit to the role players.
Did you see that speed of Mo?
35 pounds lighter Mo Tautua. As of right now, we take a look at the other end. Chris Newsom trying to do whatever he could in their return here to the PBA. But Coach, too little, too late. And again, we credit the role players. Rodney Brondial, one of the best players of the game. Mo Tautua did well. But here, Rodney, what a workman for San Miguel.
13 points and 12 rebounds in the game for Brondial, and that was a dominant first half by San Miguel.
58-44 as we go to the third quarter. And it was a much better third quarter for the Meralco Bolts, but guys like CJ Perez always kept them at bay on the attack with CJ Perez. But it was also the role players here at Meralco who was able to shine. What a nifty pass from Chris Banquero.
But Banquero did everything he can to get this victory for Meralco, and then the two bigs came in late in that third quarter, Jose and Torres, and they were able to do something positive, which cut the lead to only 2 points.
Rodney Brondial has a highlight package this game, composed of being in the right place at the right time on the offensive end, getting the rebound, and putting the ball back in the hoop. 81-75 going into the fourth quarter as Mo Tautua will showcase his skill and athleticism here yet again as he will try to do what Rodney Brondial has been doing the entire game.
He's just a workhorse and a role player. Double-double for him.
And Don Trollano, don't forget about him because he had a great first half and able to drain that one there. Don Trollano, just a reminder of all the weapons they have offensively. And here's Jumar Fajardo with the near miss but to make. But it's Jumar Fajardo and San Miguel Beermen moving on to the semifinals. Congratulations to the Beermen, and they await the winners here of Barangay Ginebra San Miguel and Converge Piper Xers. 108-97 as the Meralco Bulls go home and pack their bags early. They will not be able to defend their Philippine Cup crown. And up next, we have a big one here. Converge Piper Xers against the Barangay Ginebra San Miguel. Not a lot separating the two of them from the standings, and it should be a great one here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for the first game. I'm Paulo Del Rosario, alongside Coach Mark Molina. It was Bel Gregorio joining us on the sidelines, and we'll see you for the second game. Sa likod ng atleta, numero pero dala ang bandera, diretso sa bupa ang buwelta.